We've got lots to talk about. Some fun things, some serious things. And then at 4:30, we're going to have arguably the most influential figure in the history of Louisville sports on the show, former Cardinal Athletic Director Tom Jurich, to talk about his honoring ceremony, which is going down this Saturday morning at 10 a.m. There will be a street on Floyd Street, which is going to be named Tom Jurich Way. And I think maybe more important than just that act is the symbolism of there just strictly being a ceremony like this happening. 8 years, almost 8 years now, after all that went down on Floyd Street in 2017, to bring Tom back, to extend the olive branch, for him to accept the olive branch. I think it's going to be the healing can begin, and I think the healing needs to begin, and I'm excited for it. We'll talk about that. Quickly though, if you are interested, we had a couple of questions about, when's this going down? Give me some more details. The ceremony, again, 10 a.m. this Saturday. It's going to be at Lenny Lyles Plaza at Cardinal Park, which is located at 2135 South Floyd Street. And if you're worried about parking, don't worry about it. All on-campus parking is going to be free for this, so just show up in the general area, park, make your way over to where the ceremony is going to be. I think there'll be some fun special guests that will be exciting for a lot of Louisville fans. Hopefully, it will be a celebratory Saturday morning down there on Floyd Street. We'll have Jurich on to talk about all of that good stuff at 4:30. We'll also ask him some questions about, what's he been up to, what's life like. Are there lingering hard feelings from everything that took place? And we'll let him share his thoughts. It's been a long time since we've heard from Tom, and I'm very excited for him to get a chance to share his thoughts on these airwaves today. The Game Day Men's Health text line, as always, 502-414-1450. Weigh in there with your questions, your comments, your concerns, your thoughts, whatever you got today. We've got a TBT bracket we can talk about. We'll find out exactly where the Ville is going, or what the road is going to look like for the Ville to make it out of the regional stage and make it to that Final Four, try to win this thing for the first time. We've got some accolades out there floating around for both football and men's basketball. I've got a couple extra thoughts on we kind of glossed over this yesterday, the week that Briggs Cherry had last week at the Elite 11 Finals. Some additional thoughts there about what could potentially be the future for U of L football at the quarterback position. We've got some more talk about Isaac Brown that's lingering out there. We've got some more big dog stuff that we didn't have a chance to get to yesterday that I'm very excited to dive into. Speaking of the big dog, we had Nick Roush he's just hanging out here until like 15 seconds before the music starts, just commandeering our studio. And I'm like, what are you doing that's so important? He's like interviewing a 17-year-old kid. Like the kid can wait. The kid get the kid out of here. We're doing a radio show, for God's sake. Get him. I was about to kick his ass out of here. But he is, Roush is just, they're just trying to run the place, trying to take over. He knows I got Jurich on today. He's trying to tank the entire thing. That's what he does. Roman Kelly's here as always. Give him a follow on Twitter at RomyBean. Roman, how are you, buddy?
Doing great, Mike. I've not anything too eventful happening in the Roman B life outside of the car stuff.
I was listening to the Running with Roman every day, 2 to 2:30.
Yep.
And well, first I came in here, I thought cause I was in the first 15 minutes before I pulled in, and then
what'd you think?
Loved it as always.
Thank you.
Fantastic. But then I walk in here and I see Roush is in the studio and he's gabbing it up. And you've had Nick on, you've had TJ stay. So I was kind of thinking he's talking to you. I was like, damn, he's you waited a while to bring Roush on. You gave him the last 5 minutes to talk. So I was like, and what is he talking? Because your conversation when I hopped out of the car was pretty much just was NBA stuff. I'm like, what's Nick adding to this? But no, it sounded like he was doing his own thing. I heard you talk about potentially maybe going to hit some golf balls after this.
Yep.
Exciting, fun times. This is what we have to look forward to in June.
Fred had some personal duties to handle. He had to call into work, so he didn't bring his work tools home with him. He won't have his work tools on him tonight, so we'll have to move that to tomorrow, which naturally my head goes to different strokes now.
Right away. I love that you got the bug. You got the golf bug.
Yeah, a little bit.
Your mind immediately just goes to...
I got some listener mail in today.
Okay.
Mike? I don't want to,
No, I don't want to hype yourself up.
Say too much personal stuff about this. Basically a listener. We have a Colorado listener who's a big fan of the show, and he likes what I've added to the show. So he sent me the Cardinals Handbook: Stories, Stats, and Stuff About Louisville Basketball by Russ Brown.
Love Russ.
Forward by Denny Crum.
Now this is our guy Bill Emerson, who runs the U of L alumni chapter in Denver. He's hosted game watch parties there for a long time. We love Bill. He sent me a Nikola Jokic like jersey shirt after they won the world championship a few years ago.
Oh, that's cool.
So he's a big fan of the show. I still wear it. I think I may have been wearing it like 2 nights ago. But he's a big fan of the show. I actually had a really good friend who lived in Denver for a period of time and would go to his game watch parties and would be like, hey, I'm friends with Mike, and they would kind of converse. Bill is a very, very loyal listener, and I love that he's sending you stuff now.
Yeah, got the Cardinals handbook sent to me. Denny Crum signed it along with Russ Brown.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so this seems like something that was in his personal item, and he gifted this to me. This is super cool. This is my first gift from a listener outside of David obviously gifting me with the Reds tickets trip.
He gifted you with an experience.
Yeah, that was an experience. It's the first physical gift here that I've ever received. So this is awesome, Mike. Really kind of like threw me off at the I got this. It was in the mail to the station. So I walk in. I'm like, oh geez, what is this? This is mailed to me at the station. I didn't have any guess of what it could be. And then he obviously I opened it up to this, and he sent me a nice note, let me know about some just like the things you just said. How he's runs the alumni chapter over in Denver. He's a big Olympics fan, excited for the 2028 Olympics. Talked about that, offered to come on my personal podcast if I want to bring him on to talk about Olympics. I am trying to go to the 2028 Olympics. So
he's our Olympic guy.
He's been to 8. Yeah, LA's going to mark 8.
Every time that there's an Olympics, Bill goes, and he sends me these emails that he and his wife put together about like their experience. And it's super cool to follow as somebody who's never been to an Olympic Games. Like they always go out there and they kind of experience the country and experience, or in this case it'll be experiencing the city and what it has to offer, and it's always very, very cool. And I've shared some of those thoughts on the radio over the years, shared some of those thoughts on Card Chronicle. So he's our Olympic correspondent on the Rutherford Show officially.
This is super cool. Showing the YouTube chat the picture of the Denny Crum signature here in the Cardinal Handbook.
Oh yeah, hold that up.
So that's super cool to have this. I'm gonna read this. He says he wants a book report on it. I expect a full book report this summer. So he sent me his number and his email. I am going to, give him an official book report and send it to him. And kind of do the same on the show, Mike.
MLA style or nothing. We need that.
You know it.
Yeah. Could I even write a report at this point? It's been like, I can't tell you the last. I mean, I guess I wrote stuff in law school.
No way you could get MLA.
There's no way
you could cite your sources correctly, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I don't think I could do it when I was in like high school or college.
I can't. We had those MLA generator.com,
Did you?
When you typed in, like, if you had the information, you had to manually type in the information, but it's like if you didn't have all of it more times than not, and then it would correctly, accurately do it for you. But you do that for a couple of years, and you literally learn how to do it. You're sitting there watching it, so you eventually learn the format yourself. But
I miss all the good cheating apps.
We had one of those generators for the MLA format. Text line, Gameday Benzel text line. Let me know if you use one of those generators in college.
Let us know. I mean, I see all the stuff today.
Not really cheating. Right? I mean,
I guess
it's
not.
The sources. It's like
it's not as bad as it is now. Where you've got kids now that are openly talking about how they just use ChatGPT to graduate college.
Yeah, that's a kid.
Yeah, but I think that was kind of a joke. But like, he's not alone. If it wasn't, I mean, there are people who are like, I got into like really good law schools just based on ChatGPT alone. The only thing that we had when I was growing up, we had Spark Notes, where if you didn't
use Spark Notes, if you didn't read a book.
Yeah, exactly. There were a couple other things. It was like Pink Elephant was like another one too. There were a couple out there where
the issue with Spark Notes was it started to become paid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like we used to use it, and I feel like halfway through high school, you had to have an account.
You had Spark, yeah,
to get the good stuff.
And if you're like 20 years old listening to this, you're like, what the hell is that? It was if you didn't want to read the full books that you had to read for like English class.
Saved my life.
It would have like the big things you needed to know from chapter to chapter, and it would you could read like you could have the information that you needed while saving like 2 hours of real time. Now the problem was teachers started to get wise to this, and so they would visit Spark Notes, and they would specifically, if they quizzed you like chapters 3 through 5 on Beowulf or whatever, they would specifically ask you things that weren't on Spark Notes, and you're like, yeah. This is why I hate you. Like, so, they would get wise to it, as they get wise to everything. I don't know how you get wise to ChatGPT stuff anymore, but
I think, like,
I love teachers for
the school systems, like, they have a generator.
They used, because they start, by the time I got out of college, by the time I was in college, I should say, they would have, like, plagiarized testers where it would run.
Not a generator.
You'd have to submit your papers in. It would basically, like, run it up against stuff on the internet, and if you had a bunch of the exact same words, you would get called. I had a roommate.
But
who,
AI creates it for you in live time.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't even know how you combat that. I'm sure they'll find ways, but my God, it's got to be tough right now. I've got an issue today, Roman. So I had my like standard yearly doctor's check-in today. Checkup. It was early this morning. Got up, headed in. Nothing, nothing crazy is going on. Was just kind of like, they want to check in on me, make sure everything's okay, and just kind of giving my doc the rundown. And then I love when they do like the blood panels now because I like seeing like where I am, where it stacks up against several years ago. A few years ago when I first got the long COVID stuff, my testing was like all over the place. It was just like weird results that made no sense, and I figured out ways, or the thing has just gotten out of my system enough to where most of my like results are all normal now. But today I've got an issue.
What's that?
My triglycerides are like sky high, and like this is no sort of like creeping up. I've had this blood panel done every year since 2019. At this point, same doctor, and I've never been out of the healthy range when it comes to triglycerides. Never. I went back and looked at all they have charts now, which will chart all of your relative tests. And so this wasn't like a steady incline. It was like, oh, you gotta watch this, like take it a little bit easy. And now it's like, oh, it's too high. You have to actually adjust it. Exactly a year ago, perfectly fine, perfectly in the middle of the healthy area. And then today, it's not just a little bit high. Like it's extremely high to where it's like you have to do something about this. And I guess it's just I looked it up. This can lead to like liver failure and stroke and heart attack and all this stuff. But it just says like everything is just exercise and eating better. And I've changed nothing over the past year. I don't eat great, but I don't eat terribly. I only have like 2 meals a day. I have a late breakfast/lunch around like noon, and then I have dinner, and that's it. I typically get close to 10,000 steps a day. Could definitely be healthier, but I would not have expected any danger zone test to go from like totally normal to like my triglycerides are like in the 500 level, which is very, very high. So I don't know what I need to do. I need people to start helping me out. Maybe we're gonna have to start like doing like post-show runs, Roman.
Let's do it, Mike.
I need you to get me in shape, I guess.
Get it. Let's do it. JCC's right around the corner. We could go there. We can run around Bowman Field every day if you want.
I really don't want to.
It's hot.
I can't go outside. I hate running.
If you drink a lot of water every day and went on like an hour jog or 30-minute jog, I'm sure that would start improving stuff.
I do drink a lot of water every day.
But you got to get those muscles breaking up the acids and get your body. A body in motion stays in motion, Mike.
When I stopped playing sports, I was like, I'm never going to run again. I was like, this is my big thing.
I'll never sprint again.
I will. I'll sprint if I'm playing like pickup sports, intramurals or whatever. I played softball for a lot of years after college, but I'm never gonna be like I hated distance running. There were people in high school who were like, I like the workouts. I despised it. I was so excited when we got to like tryout time in the calendar year because it meant I finally had to stop running. You had a little bit of running in practice, but it wasn't like the Trinity off-season conditioning program was like, you're running 58 miles every single day. I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm a baseball player. Stop with this. And so I've never been a big runner. We ran a little bit before we got married. My wife and I would go on runs together, try to like get in wedding shape. And I don't think like since then I've done like consistent. Every now and then I'll be like, I'll get on the treadmill. I'm going to run a couple miles. And like, that'll be it. I really don't want to get to a point where I've got to start running consistently again. I don't want to do it. I'll do anything besides having to do that. I don't know if I can do it.
So my family has started listening to our show more.
Okay.
Because of the time slot change and it feeding directly from my own personal show.
Good.
So I'm getting some text about that.
Okay, what do they say?
Surely, now this is like, I'm going to phrase it.
Is this cool, Dad?
No, this is stepmom here.
Love stepmom.
Surely she said aging is no joke with an exclamation here.
She's not wrong.
But she said, did he fast before the blood test?
I did. I wish I had an excuse where I was like, oh, I forgot, and I had a coffee and a granola bar before I went in there. I had not eaten anything.
I was going to say, sure, they won't. They'll ask you that, and then they won't give it to you, right? If you haven't.
Exactly.
There's been places I thought.
There's been one time where like I had a little bit, and they're like, let's just go ahead and do it anyway, and a couple of the results were off. But no, I've got no excuse now. I'm concerned about this. And my cholesterol is good. I've had slight cholesterol issues over the years. Cholesterol is good. except the VD, like the heavy whatever weight cholesterol is high too, which apparently goes hand in hand with the triglycerides. So I'm nervous about this. I feel like I've got to make a life change, and I really don't want to. But I'm 40. That's the worst part too. Is like now you go to doctors, and like if you have any sort of significant health issue at 40, they're like, "Well, you're 40. Like, what do you expect?" I'm like, come on. It goes very quickly.
Don't accept that, Mike.
Well, I mean, doctor,
LeBron's 40.
I've lost all sort of faith.
Ronaldo's like 42.
I'm aware.
Brady's like 50.
Okay, you're comparing me to like the all-time outliers out of all outliers. Tom Brady hasn't eaten a carb since like 1967. But like 10 years ago, you'd go to the doctor and you'd be like, not feeling great. And they're like, you're 30. Get over it. Like, you're fine. Get out there. You're 40 now. And they're basically like anything you write up, they're like, well, you're old. What do you expect? Like, your body's rotting. Your body's rotting from the inside. You've peaked. Of course you're going to have some stuff going on. You might be dead in 3 years. I'm like, okay, well, this is the exact opposite of what it used to be. You go to the doctor when I'm your age, Roman, and they're like, you're 25. Get over it. Like, just do whatever you want. Nothing can harm you. Jump off a building. You're going to be okay. You're 40. You walk in there, and they're like, all right, let's close the door. We're about to get into some stuff. You're probably going to die in 5 years. And like I talked about this, like my weight gain. Like when I first got sick, that was one of the reasons I knew I was getting sick was I lost like 10 pounds without doing anything in like a week. Didn't change, and I was like, cool, but also concerning. And I got down to like my 7th and 8th grade weight at one point. There are pictures of me dropping our kids off at school like 3 years ago where I looked like I'm Skeletor, just terrible. And then I got back to my normal weight, and then it just keeps going up. And so I talk to these people, and you're like, I'm like, is it medication? Is it something else going on? I've heard other people that have had similar issues that I've had have this same sort of like issue, and they're like, oh, you're 40. They're like, you sniff a cake, you gain 5 pounds now. I'm like, this isn't the answer that I want. Like,
you don't drink sugary drinks, right?
I don't. I don't drink any sugary drinks.
And you're not like a big carb guy, right?
No. And like,
so it's really just the sugar, Mike.
And like the triglycerides, every page you go to,
ChatGPT saying it's the sugar right here.
I mean, it may be. I do need to cut down like the post-dinner desserts. I've got a sweet tooth. I've tried to start cutting that out.
My girlfriend has completely turned me into a sweet tooth person.
See, that's been my issue for a long time.
If you got a show you're watching together, you can't watch a show together without eating something sweet.
That's what I'm saying.
So that's every night. Now you're yeah.
It's going to have to be the first change.
You're going to have to jog backwards behind Bowman Field, Mike.
But the other thing is they talk about triglycerides. It's like everything you read is like, oh, alcohol. Like you gotta cut down on the alcohol. I don't drink it all anymore. Every now and then at social events, beers. But like that's it. Like I've never been a casual couple drinks after dinner during the week type guy, and I've cut it out even more in recent years. So I don't know. It's concerning.
Let me get a hold of you every weekend. I can help you out.
Anything but running.
Let's just throw the football for like 3 hours a day.
I mean, I go outside and water the plants when I get out of here. I'm like just dead. Like it's just so ungodly hot out there right now. I can't do it. I'm like, oh God.
I keep 2 baseball mitts in my trunk, just hoping one day you'll be like,
I'd love it. I'll toss with you any day of the week. There was when I was doing the pool thing on vacation, my kids are still too young. In Virginia, I don't think it's ever going to be let's toss the ball around. But there were like a handful of dads out there that were like throwing the football in the pool and like throwing the little skippy ball around in the pool with their older kids. And I was just desperate for the ball to roll over to me at some point, just so I could like just throw it back once. Like I got just pelted at one point. I was so happy. I was like, all right, here we go. Like the little kid was like, give it to me. I'm like, no, I'm throwing it to your dad across the pool. Like I'm just desperate to get out there and toss the football. That's all I want to do. If I see somebody throwing a football, there were some college kids on the beach, like tossing the football around, and I was just like, oh, please let it. I want to show off the cannon here. Yeah. I was like, let somebody overthrow somebody and let me just casually.
It's so funny you say that. When I was on vacation last year with our guy friends, there's a family next to us. They were kind of far, and they were throwing a football, but it was like him and his like 12-year-old daughter and his wife, who clearly was rather laid out than me throwing the football. And he just was slowly made his way closer and closer and closer to us before he's a part of our throwing circle and like making runs into the water and falling into the water to throw the football. And he's like 20 years or 30 or 40 years older than all of us. That was super funny.
There were
That's
several
just one
times.
thing that you see that football. It doesn't matter how old you
Oh
are.
my God. I mean, all I want to do is throw it. Like there were several times there was like kids like 23, 24, and you could tell them they've like probably played in high school or something. And I was just like inching closer and closer, just waiting for the overthrow. And in my mind, like I get the ball, I launch it, and they're like, "Damn, like come over here, hang out with us." I'm like, this is the way that I see my vacation going. I could abandon my son in the ocean. Like I'm just gonna throw with these guys for a little bit. Don't worry about it. There are guys like throwing baseball out in the ocean. I'm like,
All right, honey, I'm going to hang out with these guys tonight.
yeah, we're actually gonna have dinner a little bit later. Maybe toss the pigskin around. Maybe run some routes in the back area if there's room. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes from here. But yeah, that's all I wanted. I don't even know how we got to that point. But yeah, I will toss with you at some point. I don't think that's a great way to lower the triglycerides.
Well, when I overthrow it and you got to run after it.
I would love to get a long toss in. It's been a while. I still do the thing now. Like if I'm walking the dog, I'll see like somewhere like far in the distance. I'm like, could I hit that with a baseball? Like I don't think I could hit it with a football. I've thought that way my entire life. Like you can take me to a play. This is my Danny always imagines, how do I climb to the top of a church? I'm like, could I hit the stage with a baseball from right here? Like could I hit this with could I throw a pass to that guy sitting in that row with a football from right here? That's how my mind works. Just doesn't, the old freshman year 8th grade quarterback. The mentality doesn't go away. We like I said, we have actual things to talk about today, which will start at the 3 o'clock hour. TBT, we're learning more about the roster. We're learning more about the path that the team will have to winning a championship. We'll discuss that. We'll get into some of these accolades that are flying around for various U of L athletes. We've also got some positive quotes for a pair of big-time Louisville basketball recruits that we can talk about as well. We'll get to that after the break, as well as your thoughts on the Game Day Men's Health text line. It's the Mike Rutherford Show presented by United Mechanical. Rolls on next here on the Big X. in. Tuesday edition of the Mike Rutherford Show presented by United Mechanical. United Mechanical, they are your trusted partner for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration needs. Give them a call anytime, any day, any hour at 502-339-1133. We're live here on 1450 AM, 96.1 FM. We're also streaming on YouTube. Go to YouTube. If you search Big X Sports Radio Louisville, click the live button, boom. You'll see my smiling face, Roman's happy face, and you'll be able to watch us do our thing for 3 hours this afternoon. Reminder, Tom Jurich on the Collier Law Firm hotline coming up at 4:30 to talk about his ceremony this weekend as well as a number of other things. Very excited for that conversation. We've got some Louisville stuff to get to. Real quickly, though, Roman, I know this is your world. The NBA season comes to an end. The NBA draft is coming up. But trade madness is in full effect right now.
It is.
We had a big trade last night. Drew Holiday is gone. Anthony Simons, a blast from the past in Louisville world at one point in time, was committed to play at Louisville, is now is involved in that trade as well, which I didn't know. This is my NBA naivety showing here. I had no idea he was averaging like 20 points per game in the NBA.
He was the best Blazer.
He was, is that, it's like, I'm not going to say it, but it's like being the best UK football player right now. Anthony Simons is going for Drew Holiday, who's up there in age. I wonder if he has high triglycerides as well. Your reaction here to this trade? Everybody seems to be trying to position themselves to make a run at the Thunder, but is this a good move?
Wait, the Drew Holiday?
The Drew Holiday trade.
Yeah, I think it is. They had to do something, Mike. They were $22 million over the second apron, and they owed him $72 million over the next 2 years, and you don't have Jason Tatum for a full year. And you are overpaying for Porzingis as well. So you couldn't keep this team together without Tatum to go try to run it back next year when they just perform like that with Tatum. And so obviously you're not feeling confident about their ability to win a championship next year without Tatum. So there's no need to be overpaying for the roster that you've got. Seeming like they're going to move on from Porzingis as well. Mm-hmm. But basically everything I'm reading and hearing is they've made this out like it's a full financial decision. There's not a basketball decision here. Really? I think there's partially one because you just don't feel like you're going to win a championship next year. So why overpay? Why pay someone that you don't think is going to be able to get you over that hump anyway? I get it. I feel sorry for Drew Holiday because now he has to go back to the Blazers. We'll see what happens with him from there. I think that's where he started his career, right?
If you're Drew Holiday, is that just kind of like you feel like this is sort of early retirement? It's
like a little bit.
It's like this is the last run.
But he can still play at that level, so
he can. But but you're not gonna win a championship.
Yeah, like you're gonna go fight for a 10th seed now next year.
You're right.
So I feel bad for him there. I understand it on the Celtics part for sure, but this is their new management, Mike. This is kind of with the new rules and with the ways certain owners and managements think now. Not every decision's does this make us a championship decision? Does this make us a profitable organization decision? So kind of easier to do that when you've won a championship recently and you've got a core of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum once he gets back to know that you'll be back in the conversation again one day. It's easier to make those kind of decisions, but it's because of the new rules. They can't overpay. They don't want to be penalized for overpaying already now, basically.
I saw a thing, too, where, and I know the NBA Finals ended up having pretty good TV ratings, all things considered. Not astronomical, but I think better than they've been in recent years, especially the Game 7. But I saw somebody, when Shams Charania put out the tweet this morning about the trade, it ended up with like 45,000 likes, and the official Oklahoma City Thunder, we're the champions tweet had like 25,000 likes, and people are like, more traction on a trade post than a actual world championship winning post, which a lot of people say is the issue. But maybe that's more of an Oklahoma City issue than it is an NBA issue. Speaking of, did you see the crowd, I guess, or lack thereof, for the championship parade in OKC?
Yeah, kind of knew that was probably coming.
2 bad championship parades in a row. The Panthers parade was pathetic. Shocking that they don't go all out for hockey in Florida. This is why we got to stop. We got to stop getting Stanley Cup championships to Florida. We got to get it out of Florida. But OKC, not exactly with a crazy crowd either. But it was early on. Maybe they'll redeem themselves here. One thing that you can always count on around here, there will be crowds for big-time local sporting events, which we're expecting to see once again this year in late July when the Ville TBT team takes the court inside Freedom Hall. The Louisville team will play their first game, I believe, Monday, July 28th. Take it back, July 19th, which is a Saturday at 12:30. That's going to be nationally televised on Fox. So we'll have a national TV audience for the Ville's first round game. And now we know who it's going to be against. The full bracket came out for the TBT today. We're going to be playing in the first game. The Ville, by the way, is a number 1 seed. We're hosting the regional. Boston versus Cancer will be the first team that Louisville plays. And then they have a chance in the second round to play Sideline Cancer. Basically, we have a chance to knock off 2 teams in the first 2 rounds that are playing for cancer research, which makes us feel bad about ourselves. I don't like this draw just for that reason alone. I don't want to feel bad about winning. And it's like, oh, are you against cancer research? No, we just want to win $1 million. That's what we want to do. But the region overall, you've got the Ville is the 1 seed, Boston versus Cancer is the 8. Sideline Cancer is the 4 seed. The Mad Cats are the 5 seed. Florida DRC is the 3 seed. Team 901 is the 6 seed. Shaq's team, which was number 1 seed last year, Team Diesel, is the 2 seed. And then LA Ignite, a team of players from the Los Angeles area, is the 7 seed. I've got no idea what that means as far as like whether these teams are good or not. I know the Shaq team was supposed to be really good last year, and they got bounced pretty early in the tournament. Hopefully this is a good draw for us. We'll find out. The current roster as of right now, Roman. Your boy David Johnson.
Yep.
Ray Spalding, who our boss Troy is seeing at Paul's.
Yep.
All the big athletes are hanging out at this Paul's. I went to that Paul's a couple weeks ago. McKinley Randolph. See her right when I walk in. I'm like, what's up, McKinley? Go Cards. She was like, go Cards. Montrezl Harrell back for another year. Chris Jones also back for another year. On the official release, they refer to him as Shane Bennon. I believe that's Shane Behannon, who we're still finding a way to mess up his name in 2025. He's back for another year. Russ Smith and Peyton Siva, once again, running the backcourt. Earl Clark making his TBT debut. David Sloan, Louisville native, who played at K-State and East Tennessee State. And then Jay Scrubb, who at one point in time was actually signed to play at Louisville and then chose to make the jump straight from John A. Logan Junior College straight to the NBA. He's going to play on the team, too. By the way, let's just go ahead and if another JUCO player signs with Louisville and is mulling over a decision to jump to the NBA, like let's just say, hey, the last 2 players who have done this, both were signed to play at Louisville and both did not have lengthy NBA careers. Maybe just play for the Cards for a year. See how it goes. Maybe that's going to enhance your draft stock. Maybe make you a first-round pick, get some guaranteed money. Just come here, play for a year. There's a track record now at this point in time. But that's your roster as of right now. It's an exciting roster.
It's a great roster.
Great roster. Dare I say the best roster that we've had in the 3 years that we've played in this thing?
I think it is.
It's 3 years, right? I think the first year was 2 years ago. And then last year we made it a round further. And then this year we're looking to make the Final Four. I think this is the 3rd year. Regardless.
Might be the 4th.
You think it's the 4th? I think it's
21 doesn't sound right.
Yeah, I think it was 23, 24, 25, I believe. All I know is I like the role that the TBT is taking on in the landscape of local sports now. Because if we're being honest, the first year, it had more of a heightened place than it should have. And that was because we hadn't watched any competent Louisville basketball in like 3 years. And we knew that things weren't going to be great in the upcoming season. So the TBT was sort of all we had. And it was like, you watched Peyton Siva and Rust out there doing their thing. You watched a lively, energetic Louisville crowd, and you were like, my God, I didn't realize how much I missed actual exciting basketball where our side looks like it's competent. Mm-hmm. And then last year, it took a little bit more of a backseat. It was like a fun offseason thing, especially when you had the beef between the U of L and the UK teams, and it was all kind of framed through that lens. But it was more of we were more focused on Pat Kelsey and the team and what we could be in 24-25. And I think that's only going to be more of the case this year because now we know we got a coach. We got a guy who can do this at a high level. We've got a roster that should be able to take this program back to where we expect it to be. So I think that this is going to become what it's been for a lot of other programs. Like I've seen the Syracuse fans over the years follow their team in this, the Marquette fans, recently the Kentucky fans. It shouldn't be the pinnacle of your basketball sports calendar. The pinnacle should be the actual season, the actual team, and that's now what we're going to get back to. What this will be is a very welcome, very fun, hopefully like 2-week distraction for us to get into. And I think that's the void that it needs to fill. It's a perfect time of the year. I mean, there's nothing going on around here in mid-July, late July, early August. If you have something you can latch onto and talk about, especially when it's filled with a bunch of beloved names like the ones we just read, it's great for around here. But it should not take the place of the primary focus during those months should still remain, hey, what's going on with summer workouts? What's the situation with Ali Khalifa? What are our rotations going to look like? How's Michael Brown coming along? All of that good stuff. And I think that's the way that it's going to be from this point forward. But I'm still excited about this, Roman. I know you are too.
Yeah, I can't wait to get down there and watch them again, Mike. And like you just said, it's just a time to put an emphasis on the players that were, emphasis on alumni guys, an emphasis on a distracting thing that is still Louisville basketball fully. And that's fun. Like being able to be distracted from what is the what you're all looking forward to, that you're nervous about, that you're excited about, for something that doesn't have any real expectation on it.
Yeah.
Other than having a fun time and getting guys that you used to love out there on playing for in the Louisville jersey, getting to play again alongside their ex teammates and different generation guys. It's a cool experience. And then the turnouts are great too.
Yeah.
You said like it wasn't. It didn't lose any importance last year, but that wasn't the top of our peak of our interest, right?
It took on the role that it's supposed to take on.
But it was still like, I mean, Kanai's in there doing trance, you know? It was still a cool thing for the current roster to, when you're having a transfer portal heavy and then you're bringing in a notable freshman as well, it's cool for them to be a part of it as kind of fans of the organization too, in that sense, because they're not playing, they're not a part of it, but I think that's an awesome aspect of it too. So you get to include all the current guys along with the older guys playing together.
No, it's a great point. That's another role that it fills. Is it's sort of like it's like an appetizer for these new guys to feel a little bit of what it feels like to actually play in front of that crowd of Louisville fans. And you saw like last year, that was like you said, Kanai Roos is out there. He's learning how to do the CARDS cheer, and I think a lot of guys were like, "Oh, this is how it is." Like we walk in the gym, everyone wants to take pictures with us. Everybody knows who we are. And we see the crowd getting into it. They also got a taste of the Louisville-Kentucky rivalry last year, which was a nice introduction for them. And I think that is going to be a nice little thing for the newcomers to have. It was cool seeing the newcomers get a chance to experience Louisville baseball when the Super Regional was here and get out in that crowd, and I think this will be more of that. But I think 2 years ago, if that team had gone on to win the TBT, we would have treated it like it was like sort of like a national championship. Like it would have been the high point of the I mean, hell, like winning those 2 games was the high point of the basketball calendar year. If this team,
us with the clutch 3,
yeah, I mean that was the best basketball moment we'd had in like 3 years. If
that's insane.
I know, I mean, it really was like that. It was a cathartic moment. Like we all were going nuts. But if this year's team, and I mean this is no disrespect or anything, I don't want to minimize what this team's trying to do. It would be a very cool thing. But if they go out there and they win the TBT, it's a cool thing for us as fans. Like, we'll all celebrate it. We'll talk about it. We'll cheer. But like, it won't compare to if the team goes out there and like wins a game in the NCAA tournament. Yeah. You know, like the main thing is going to be back. It is back to being the main thing around here, which is the actual team itself. This city, the sports landscape, a lot of it revolves around the men's basketball team and the football team and how they're going to perform. And I think, now it's not going to be like, well, thank God we got a championship out here. This feels just like it did when we made the Elite Eight back in the day. There's going to be none of that. And that, again, that's the way that it's supposed to be. This is a cool, fun event. I'm excited about it, but it's not supposed to take the place of your actual season. Whereas I think with like Syracuse in recent years, like they're still kind of in that boat where it's like, that orange team, the Boeheim's Army, or whatever it is every year. It's like this may be the only chance we have to see some Syracuse players win some big games and maybe compete for a championship. That should not be the case around here this year. And again, that's the way that it's supposed to be. Speaking of actual basketball news, playing a little bit of catch-up here, one of these quotes is from last week when I was out. One of these quotes was from just a couple of days ago. But basketball recruiting has a chance to be a lot of fun. moving forward. Like we're seeing, getting Michael Brown for this year was phenomenal, obviously, but we're seeing Pat Kelsey and company start to flex a little bit when it comes to traditional recruiting. And it's crazy that, when we brought Rick Pitino here back in 2001, there was this thought of, because the primary problem in the latter Denny Crum eras, or at least the narrative, was that he just wasn't recruiting like he used to. He couldn't recruit in the modern game. We weren't getting the types of players that Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas, those types of schools were, and as a result, we'd fallen from that top tier. And when Pitino came here, there was this notion that we're going to start getting those types of players. We're going to start getting those NBA guys. And it never really happened, which is the irony of all ironies. He gets forced out, and the perception is, well, they were cheating to recruit, and that's why they were so good. The only major complaint that Louisville fans had consistently throughout the Pitino era was we didn't recruit well enough. We weren't getting the type of players that John Calipari was getting and these other programs were. And it's kind of crazy now looking around at the landscape and seeing, like, we may finally start getting these types of players, and the guy doing it is going to be a guy who's never recruited at this level before because he's never been at this level before. It's a guy whose prior head coaching experience was Winthrop and Charleston. And he's coming here, and all of a sudden you're seeing Pat Kelsey, he goes out there, he gets Michael Brown, who's one of the highest-rated players to ever come here. He may wind up being the first, like, traditional one-and-done that we've ever had if he goes to the NBA next year and is a lottery pick. And now we're recruiting more of those guys moving forward. And two of them are very big names that recently took trips to Kentucky. I love the fact that, and I don't want to crap all over Nick Roush again, but KSR has been talking to these recruits that have been taking these visits to Kentucky that have also previously taken visits to Louisville, and they keep giving them quotes that are kind of more pro-Louisville than Kentucky. Do you know what I'm talking about here?
Yeah, I do.
So Tay Kinney, who was here last week and then visited Kentucky, or is visiting Kentucky this week. We've mentioned this guy before. Big-time game, gigantic social media presence. And he talked to KSR about the visit to Louisville and about the upcoming visit to Kentucky. And he said this, Roman. Louisville fan, he was talking about, Louisville fans following him and watching him and all this stuff. Louisville fans are definitely pulling for me. I don't know about Kentucky fans. They said a couple things that are crazy, but they're definitely pulling for me. Some of them. They just say stuff about other players and then laughs. It's not a great quote if you're a Kentucky fan wanting to land Tay Kinney. It's a pretty good quote if you're a Louisville fan wanting to land Tay Kinney. Right?
Yeah.
He's basically like, Louisville fans, constant support, very, very good. I love the love that they're showing me. Kentucky fans,
if we don't get him, this guy's better than him anyway.
Yeah, they're already kind of saying stuff to me that I don't. They seem kind of crazy in a bad way, and I'm not a big fan of that. So that's one. Love that when it comes to our chances to getting Tay Kinney. The bigger deal out there, and this is going to, get ready for Tyron Stokes radio nonstop when we get closer and closer to whatever decision he's going to make. This is the number one player in the country for the upcoming recruiting class. A lot of people say he would have been the number one player in the 2025 class. Like, he's that good. He talked with KSR about being from Louisville, about being from Kentucky, about what it may mean in his recruitment, and he said this, Roman. Representing the state with this opportunity with USA Basketball speaks for itself, and it's significant. Being from Kentucky means a lot to me, but representing Louisville really matters to me. Being able to do things that shine a light on the city is a good thing. My journey in putting on for the city feels good because I have come from a small place where they have my back and I have theirs.
Doesn't get much better than that, Mike.
It kind of feels like I'm from Louisville. I ain't from Louisville, Kentucky type quote.
It does.
And, anybody from the city knows that feeling, knows that sentiment, but it feels good when you have a recruit who shares in it. That gets me excited. That gets me very excited.
You got to bring him in. You got to get him in. You got to do whatever it takes to get him in, I think.
Is this where we're going to get with Tyron Stokes, where it's like you've got to get this kid?
And I don't mean to sound like, I feel like you could go find a Native Mint segment and I sound like I'm probably saying the same exact thing. But in your backyard, Mike, you can't pass up on it, especially when he's got roots, like family roots that are Louisville fans, Yeah. So I think it's a must. I think you've got to go, you got to get up to bat with anybody who else is interested in him.
This quote is exciting. It's very exciting to hear. So like you said, Tyron Stokes, by all accounts, kind of grew up rooting for Louisville. His family kind of grew up rooting for Louisville. There was let's just cut to the main issue. He, like so many other big talents from this part, from this city in recent years, chose to get out of the city. There's been a common thought that, the family of really high-level basketball talents, when they start showcasing that talent, tries to get their kids out of this area because of some of the violence going on, some of the things that are going on, which lends itself to an entire other conversation for sure. But it's this is not a thing that we're just making up out of thin air. There's a thing that's been happening in recent years. And there's been some talk that maybe his family is a little bit hesitant of him playing for Louisville just because it would put him back, with some of these same people that maybe they don't want their son associating with. It sounds to me like he's not concerned about that. Like he's like, I love Louisville. I want to, he knows the stage that he has at this point. There are a lot of people that think he could be the number 1 pick in the NBA draft in a couple of years. There are a lot of people that think he could be like one of the better freshmen to play in college basketball in recent memory. And it sounds, at least as of right now, that he wants to take that reputation and use it to prop up a city and a program and a community that means a ton to him. And I love that. I mean, if you are Pat Kelsey, it does kind of put some pressure on you to go out there and say, look, we're not going to have inherent advantages with number 1 prospects in the country all that often. Like this is I don't want to say it's a once-in-a-generation type deal, but it could be a once-in-a-generation type deal where the number 1 player, the unquestioned class of an entire recruiting class, has direct ties to Louisville and kind of feels like he wants to play at Louisville. And it does sort of feel like you need to capitalize on that. I'm not going to say he has to get him because we're in on some of the other higher 5-star players in that class. And, if it's a situation where it does come down to Tyron Stokes just feeling like the best thing for me is to be outside of the city, there's only so much you can do about that. But if he wants to play here, if he's a Louisville lean, and it's going to take somebody else coming in here to really sell him to get him out of the city, I feel like you got to do what you got to do to keep him around. I mean, you've seen the highlights.
Yeah.
This kid he's
unreal. He can shoot, he can dribble, he can score, he can pass, he can rebound, he can defend.
It's always difficult. It's always dangerous.
And he's not done growing, it looks like.
He's not. I mean, he's got big paws and a puppy, man. Like, it's always dangerous projecting when it comes to 16, 17, even 18-year-olds. And how many times have we heard in recent years, like, this guy's the next LeBron, he's the biggest thing, and some of the times they wind up, Imani Bates was going to be the next gigantic thing in basketball.
That's Kevin Durant.
Right. And a lot of times they end up being good players. But
he made it to the NBA.
He did. Marvin Bagley was going to be the next fit, and he made it to the NBA, had a great, good career. But a lot of times they don't wind up being what people say they're going to be when they're 17. Having said
More
that,
times than not, they don't.
I was going to say, having said that, though, you watch that kid's game, he does things that just you should not be able to do at that age. And I'm excited about the fact he's playing on this USA basketball squad. He's going to be spending like 3 weeks with Michael Brown, who very much is already taking on the mantle of like rah, go Louisville, L1C4, whatever you want to say. And that can't be a bad thing either when it comes to this. So I always want to live in the present. But if you're looking for reasons to believe that this, maybe you're concerned that we're going to be a good team this year, but can Pat Kelsey really keep putting together these rosters? The names that we're talking about right now on the recruiting trail, they all sort of say he's going to be able to keep doing this. I mean, you had our boy Dalton Pence, who was you heard him on the show from 5:30 to 7 yesterday with yourself. He was talking about, I guess he had Joe Tipton on his podcast.
Yep. Well, he had him on the show yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he had him on Mondays with Dalton Pence.
Yeah.
And Joe Tipton apparently was like, I'll be very surprised if Louisville doesn't sign another top point guard in the 26 class soon. And, we're in on a number of those guys right now. Was it Dylan Mingo we just offered, who's apparently very high on Louisville? And you kind of wonder if this is going to be a thing where it's just like, I hate to even make the comparison, but, John Calipari was bringing in top point guard after top point guard after top point guard and having success with it. It kind of feels like Pat Kelsey wants to do that. Now, maybe he reevaluates if this season doesn't go as well as he'd like to with a freshman running the show. But if Michael Brown goes out there and helps lead you to a, whatever you deem a successful season, maybe you feel like that's the recipe moving forward.
Yeah.
You go and you get some of the best established transfer portal players in the country, maybe guys who aren't going to be certified NBA superstars, but guys who are really, really good veteran college players, and you surround the number one point guard in the country with those guys and make it a little bit easier for him. Maybe that's the recipe. Everyone's trying to find the secret sauce. Everyone's trying to find the right combination in this day and age. And this feels like Pat Kelsey kind of trying to experiment with a recipe that could be unique to himself and that he could use to help take Louisville back to the promised land. But a lot of it's going to rely on how this team fares this season. If we look back, and I don't think this is going to happen, but if we look back and we say, man, if we just had more of a veteran point guard, Michael the skill is there. It's obvious why NBA teams love him, but he just, his lack of experience doomed us at some point. Then maybe you reevaluate. But if Michael is fantastic and these players around him are all very, very good, maybe you say this is what we need to do moving forward. Either way, how exciting is it for Louisville fans to look at the top 25 players in the class of 2026 and be like, oh, he's interested in Louisville. He's interested in Louisville. We feel like we may get that guy.
Never been there, Mike.
We've never done this before, Roman. It's great. And I know you being a big NBA guy, it's got to be especially exciting for you.
Definitely. Super I mean, you've watched what the colleges who are in on these kind of guys every year. Like 10 years ago, they were in on these guys, getting them casually, and now it's almost a guarantee that those main 5-6 schools are going to be in on those main freshmen every year. And Louisville was kind of always like, can we get somebody near that top 100? Can we get someone inside that top 100? Ooh, we got a top 80 guy kind of looking at us, Yeah. Now it's top 25 and multiple, and they're already got one committed from the previous class who's friends with these guys. And it's if you can get one or two in these first couple years of Pat Kelsey going forward, I think that would just be very, very big for the rest of his tenure here going forward with traditional recruiting.
I feel like if you're going to recruit traditionally, and again, this is all still so new. We're all just kind of making hypotheses and hoping they're going to play. But I feel like the best way to go if you're a program like Louisville is only take the guys who you feel like are probably going to be one and done, the 5-star can't-miss superstars, and then the guys maybe at the back end of the top 100 that you feel like are going to college with a mindset of, I'm probably going to be here for a couple of years. Guys
I want to go to the NBA if I can.
Yeah,
kind of a guy.
Like the Kenai Roos. Like if you can find those types of players.
2 or 3 of those guys every year. 1 5-star and then 1 of those each, I think.
The guys that I feel like you have to avoid if you're Louisville are the guys that we used to recruit. The guys who were kind of those fringe 4-star, 5-stars. The guys who probably in their mind thought, hey, like I should be a one and done, but
yeah, I'm the 85th best player in the country. I should
exactly
to take all the shots.
Or like the 35th, 40th best player in the country who's still going to college with a mentality of like I should be the dude, but who in reality probably need 2 or 3 years of development in college. Because those guys, I feel like you bring them in, and if they don't play big time minutes as a freshman, which they probably won't based on their pedigree, they leave immediately after the next year. Like they're going to go to the portal. They're going to try to get a bag from somewhere else. And so you get nothing out of recruiting them. You probably had to you still have to give them some NIL, and you get no return on that investment. With Kenai, a guy who probably came here not expecting to be a one and done, played his role dutifully last year, now is hoping to step into a bigger role. You have the chance to develop him. And with Michael, his contributions can speak for itself. But what you want to avoid is bringing in a guy who's like the 8th or 9th best player on your team, who midway through his freshman year is like, this sucks. I should have been playing a lot more. I'm gone after this. Like those are the guys that I feel like you have to avoid if you're in the position that Louisville's in. And it kind of feels like that's what we're targeting right now in recruiting with Pat Kelsey and company.
Yeah.
Game Day Men's Health text line is 502-414-1450. You guys have a lot of thoughts. If you've got questions you'd like to hear us ask Tom Church, if you've got thoughts on what we've talked about, hit us up. We're going to start reading those after the break. It's your hour coming up next. This is the Mike Rutherford Show presented by United Mechanical. 1450. Big X. It's the Mike Rutherford Show presented by United Mechanical, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. I heard that song played like 75 times last week. It was Hilton Head, anywhere you go, pool, any bar, any restaurant, there's just guitar players everywhere. And they play the same like 15 songs. A lot of Jack Johnson. The song that I finally had to tweet about this because I heard it so many times. I heard 75,000 different guitar players play the Toes in the Water, Ass in the Sand song last week. I got my feet in the water, ass in the sand. Life is good today. Are you familiar?
Not even a little bit.
I believe it's a Zach Brown Band song. Which I don't mind Zach Brown Band, but I got my toes in the water, ass in the sand. It's not a good song. Maybe it's been ruined for me by these people. But everywhere I go, I'm like, no, my toes are not in the water, my ass is not the same. I'm chasing around my kids in the back patio area of this restaurant, sweating my ass off. Life is not good right now. Stop with this. Everybody plays a song everywhere you go. Patrick Ryan says it's just called Toes. I don't care what it's called, Patrick. I don't care. It's toes in the water, ass in the sand to me. Because everyone has to emphasize the ass in the sand. Anyway, just a little pet peeve. 502-414-1450 is the Gameday Men's Health text line. And a reminder, Gameday Men's Health, they're redefining men's wellness. No shortcuts, just results. We're talking testosterone, peptides, weight loss, and sexual performance therapy. If this is interesting to you, visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com for more information. They're defining a new era in men's health. You're defining a new era in sports talk radio texting at 502-414-1450. Why is Patrick texting?
Sorry, Patrick.
Also nice of you guys to mention everyone who came in last week besides me yesterday. Patrick was very happy that Sean Moss gave him multiple good questions when he had him on. He let me know that. Very proud of himself.
He was great Monday.
I'm sure he was. 502-414-1450. Texter says, that's a KRC text. Texter said, I hope it's not sad that I listen. This is someone texting in KRC. I hope it's not sad that I listen every day. I'm just a fan of the show and wanted to share it with y'all. Are the KRC boys calling out fans for listening every day?
No way.
That's poor. That's poor radio sense.
Quite literally can't do that.
You're an idiot if you listen to this show every day. It's counterproductive.
Such grass.
Texter said, welcome back, Mike. Just curious your thoughts on the U of L athletic budget from last week. I would be surprised if 5 years from now U of L is virtually any other sport besides football, basketball, baseball, volleyball, and soccer. The ability for any other sport to break even, much less raise capital to keep facilities competitive, seems impossible, and it only seems like a matter of time. Yeah, so we didn't get a chance to talk about this last week because I was gone. But the first budget of the full-on NIL era came out last week, and Louisville is projecting a $12.5 million deficit in its first budget of this revenue-sharing era. And they're far from alone. I mean, a lot of athletic programs are sort of like spending and saying, we'll figure out where to get the money for to help this deficit down the line. They put out their sport-by-sport budgets and their sport-by-sport revenues, and as the texter insinuates, there were only 5 sports this past athletic season, I guess 2 athletic seasons ago, that produced revenue. And it's the 5 that I think you would expect. It was football, men's and women's basketball, volleyball, and baseball. And volleyball actually, I think, outproduced baseball fairly significantly. They made like $800,000. Baseball made like $200,000 plus. Volleyball was close to where women's basketball is. Now, football and men's basketball both, I think, made like $28 million in revenue. They were, or $280,000, whatever it was. They were way above everybody else when it came to revenue production, as you would expect. I hope that it doesn't get to a point where Louisville starts cutting programs. I know a lot of people have predicted that. So far, at least, you've seen very few high-profile athletic programs say, we're cutting our golf team, we're cutting swimming, we're cutting whatever. But it does feel like that's something that could come to the forefront as more time goes on and the financial situations become more dire. We'll see. Next year is going to be the first year where universities have to raise up to $20.5 million to pay their players. You're going to have more scholarships you're going to have. I think what's going to happen, well, what we know is going to happen, is that $20.5 million is going to go to the sports that are making you money, and everybody else is going to have to find out ways to get creative. Unless you have a situation like they do at Texas Tech, where a billionaire comes in and is like, "Hey, I'd like to win a softball national title, and I'm willing to give $1.2 million to the best softball player in the country to make it happen." Unless we have somebody step up and do that, we're probably going to be in the same boat as everybody else. If I was a billionaire, I would just do that. I'd be like, you know what? I'm stacking the field hockey team. I'm taking all of North Carolina's roster, and I'm bringing them here. They're all getting $1 million. Why not? Billionaires are bored anyway. Stop buying Twitter. Stop doing so. Just start winning national championships for your favorite college program. It's a much better way to spend your money. It's much more rewarding than trying to get into government or whatever the hell these people are doing. If you're bored, just go out there and watch your softball team just kick ass for a full 3 months. It's fun. Why not? Have some fun. What would you spend your money on if you were a billionaire, Roman? What would be your first order of business? You'd probably invest it. Something stupid.
I'd probably buy a team.
Oh, would you?
Yeah.
Would you be interested? What kind of team? NBA? Soccer?
Oh, yeah, soccer team.
Would you do the thing where you want to go do the Wrexham thing? Go to English?
Maybe.
Try to build a team up?
But that's not easy. That's if I was a billionaire or a multi-billionaire, I'm like, all right, let me get Manchester City. Let me go grab a big conglomerate type.
That type of money is different.
Yeah.
Like I am
into multiple billions of dollars to do that.
Like I watched the Welcome to Wrexham series, and I do think it's really it's entertaining. It's really interesting. I love all the soccer docs that are out there. I watch Sunderland Till I Die, but they're like one of the interesting things now about the Wrexham situation. So they take a team that's in the fifth league in England's pyramid, like the lowest professional league, and they're the first team ever now to be promoted in 3 consecutive years, and they're in the championship, the second biggest league. And they're eyeing the jump to the Premier League. And everyone's like, their big advantage over these teams in League One, League Two, and whatever the bottom league is they've got movie star money. But now you're going up against like oil money.
Yeah.
And you've got to bring in partners if you want to be remotely competitive, even in the championship. Like the Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney money is not going to get it done. Like there's a certain level to where you've got to be like, I've got $75 billion yachts rich to be able to run Man City or those franchises that are competitive in the English Premier League.
Just a regular old schmegular billionaire.
A schmegular billionaire.
But I still think I'd try to get an NBA team or like a second tier team in England if I could.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Maybe one with good history, good fan base.
Be a lot of fun.
I feel like owning a team over there, you got a little bit more say so over than you would for American League teams.
Texture says Joey Brackets is out again. Don't do this to me. I've not seen this yet. He's updated bracket top. Okay, where are we? Okay, well, you're gonna make me do this on June 24th. Joe Lenardi's dropped us in his bracketology with no changes to our roster from the last time that he did this. We've now dropped from a 6 seed to a 7 seed, Roman. He has Louisville as the 7 seed in the Midwest region, taking on Maryland in the first round, with UConn potentially awaiting in the second round. Why is he the way that he is? Why does he do this? Kentucky's a 3 seed, by the way, in the same region.
So make us do this, Mike. He's got to get the click somehow.
I mean, he's one man. He's not good at his job. He's never been good at his job. I still would like to know the thought process behind dropping Louisville from a 6 to a 7. Because it's not the Ali Khalifa thing. He updated it before then. If you look at any top 25 that's out there, and look, like maybe all of these people are wrong. Maybe everybody who's got Louisville somewhere in their top 15, top 20 is wrong. But everybody does, as of right now. Every single network that does this sort of thing with the way too early rankings has Louisville in the top 20. And I think everybody but like John Rothstein has us in the top 15. Lenardi, by his calculations, by putting us at a 7 seed, has us somewhere between what? The 25th and 28th best team. in college basketball going into next. He basically has it as a non-top 25 team. I'd like to know the thought process. Again, maybe he's right and everybody else is wrong. It'd be one of the first times that's ever happened, but maybe it's the case. I still would like to pick his. We maybe need to get him on the show. Like, what do you not see in Louisville that everybody else does? What's your thought process here? Also, can you name more than 2 players on the roster off the top of your head without Googling, Joe? Can you tell me 2 players on our team?
No way.
I'm not sure you can. Texture says, ask Tommy if he's ever shot a 79 in golf. We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the 79, Roman. I feel like we need to have some sort of festivity.
Maybe go shoot it again.
Maybe. I was thinking about this yesterday. Yeah, you get to 40. I don't do much athletically besides golf. Every now and then I do trick shots in the backyard. I like doing that. Achieved my big one a few weeks ago, hitting the wiffle ball through the kids' playground down the tunnel slide from our back porch. It was great. It was a huge moment for me. The one thing that I really want to accomplish athletically before I die, I want to hit a hole-in-one. I've never hit a hole-in-one.
Most people haven't.
I mean, you have a lot of people. Like, what was it, Bryson DeChambeau? He said his first ever hole-in-one. Like, this guy who's played a million rounds of golf in his life, serious rounds, whatever rounds. His first hole-in-one was when he hit one, I think, at the Masters a few years ago. He said he'd never hit one before. Now, most professional golfers have hit 13, 14. They play these practice rounds. They play all this stuff. You get tons of chances, and they're very, very good. Not only have I never hit one, I've never seen one. I've never been in a group where a buddy or a rando that I've gotten paired up with has hit one. I'd love to see one, but I really want to hit one. I've got 2 of my really close friends have hit one. I've come kind of close, but I've never had the classic it lipped out or it ended up an inch short. I've had some where the divots landed right next to the hole, or where I've had a tap-in birdie putt, but I've never even had that moment where I'm like, ooh, did it go in? I really want to hit a hole-in-one. It's the goal for the rest of my life. I wanted to break 80.
Wouldn't that be a tap-in eagle putt?
No. It's a par 3. Your first shot is right next to the hole. Your second shot is tapping it in. That's a birdie.
Oh.
I feel like you still don't understand.
I do.
A hole-in-one would be an eagle, technically.
On a par 3.
Yes.
I don't like how it changes. The par changes it. I just don't like it.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't even know how to explain it. You said it, not me.
What do you mean?
I just don't understand.
An eagle is 2 shots below par. So on a par 5, an eagle's a 3.
An eagle to me should just be 2 shots, or your second shot after your tee shot.
Well, that's just not what it is. That's just not what it is.
That should just be the phrase for that.
It's not. A birdie is 1 shot below par. An eagle is 2 shots below par. A double eagle or an albatross is a 2 on a 5. If you somehow made a hole-in-one on a par 5, I don't even know what that's called. But that's the way that it is.
It's weird.
Yeah, that's golf terminology. I don't know how else to explain it to you. Danny, who did a podcast with, his daddy had a hole-in-one on a par 4.
How far was it?
I don't know. It couldn't have been too far. But it saved him. It was the day of the Louisville, West Virginia Final Four game. And his dad had told him, this when we're sophomores in college. His dad had told him a million times, don't drive this car. It's going to break down. Don't drive this car. So Danny immediately takes the car and drives it to Lexington for a weekend of partying. And then on the way back, the car completely breaks down. And his dad, notoriously hot-tempered, he had to call his dad and tell him this, and he was terrified. And it just so happens that his dad had just hit a hole-in-one on a par 4 and could not have cared less. He's like, I thought I told you not to drive. Okay, don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. It's the best day of his life. Hit a hole-in-one on a par 4. I would like to hit a hole-in-one at some point in my life. Texter says, click to view image. It's another of the, this is a black COX license plate that is not a Louisville license plate, though. It's just a straight Kentucky license plate that's black and it says cool, keeps the lights on, and it is COX 282. So perhaps the Black Cox license plates are not just limited to the Louisville variety. There are different types of Black Cox license plates out there. There you go. Text our Pat 40, Bob Valvano, and Matt Jones upset with you for platforming Tom Jurich on your radio show. I don't know. Don't care.
Why would they be?
I mean, I don't think Bob has any significant issues against Tom. 40 and Tom were close for a period of time. Matt Jones and Tom Jurich notoriously not close. But I don't know. Pat 40's he's always talking about Lakeside. I've been to Lakeside now for 2 years and still haven't run into him. I want to just give him crap about swimming. This guy also texted in like 2 times to Scoot's shows about me sounding like Jim Rome. Do you agree with Mike Rutherford's radio doppelganger, Jim Rome, that the reason LeBron is downplaying ring culture is because he doesn't have as many as Jordan? Is LeBron downplaying ring culture, Roman?
He is. Downplaying is a weird word. He's complaining about it. Complaining about what the media does to a player in ring culture, which he was kind of the start of it. But
I mean, and that's also not a new thing. I mean, for as long as I've been alive, people have talked about championships. I mean, there's always been. I mean, Dan Marino, greatest player to ever win a Super Bowl. Charles Barkley, is he ever going to win a ring? I mean, in golf, there's always who's the best player who's never won a major tournament. Like, that's always a thing.
What's the answer to that question?
Say what?
What's the answer to that question?
Right now?
Yeah.
I mean, before last year's PGA at Valhalla, it was Xander Schauffele. Who's the best player right now who's not won a major championship?
It's got to be
Patrick Cantlay. I feel like I'm missing. I mean, Patrick Cantlay was the first name that came to my mind.
Got to be Si Woo Kim.
Is it? I'm gonna look.
Morikawa's won one.
Morikawa's won multiple. Yeah. Okay, so I just Googled it. First response that comes up is Victor Hovland. I can see that. He's really young. I feel that's weird. He's like 28 years old. It's weird to put that on him. Patrick Cantlay's 2 on this list. Tony Finau, I'm not sure it's going to happen. Ricky Fowler, I mean, he's been in this category for a long time. I also feel, I mean, his best years seem to be far behind him. Max Homa's had a terrible year. Tommy Fleetwood is a good answer. Matt Kuchar's too old probably to be there. Ludwig Aubert is, he and Sahith Theegala are both on this list, but that's the next wave. They're young guys. Will Zalatoris, still, he's been close around. There's no, like for a long time, it was like Sergio Garcia or Phil Mickelson, these big names that were like top 5 golfers in the world that just could not win the biggest tournaments. There's nobody like that right now who's like one of the defining names. Like these guys are all good, but there's like all the best players have won multiple majors at this point. I see. Like. Texas said, have you seen Mark Stoops' dramatic weight loss? I'm interested in hearing your all thoughts on how he lost it. Could it be Ozempic? Could it be that he hasn't been able to eat since his breakup with the big dog? Or maybe he's not eating 5 nights a week at Jeff Ruby's with the big dog. Is that really good for your health? All jokes aside, he looks motivated. I did see the picture of Mark Stoops yesterday.
I didn't. Is he looking good?
He looks better. He's got the tucked-in shirt. He looks a little bit thinner. I mean, maybe I need to up Mark Stoops about my triglycerides issue. Just get him on the show and just ask him nothing about how he got his weight down. They're doing this whole, like, UK media is desperate for Kentucky football to lean into this whole motivated thing. You know, motivated Mark Stoops and all this stuff. Like, it's just, I just feel like it's not going to happen. Let me ask you, I didn't hear the show yesterday from KRC, but I saw TJ's tweet where he said he thinks Mark Stoops will be the head football coach at Kentucky in 2026. Let me ask you straight up right now. I know we're 3 months away from the start of the 25 season. Do you think Mark Stoops is the head coach again, is still the head coach at Kentucky this time next year?
Yes.
I don't. I know the buyout's dramatic. I think that they're going to be like.
You also believe they'll win less than 4 games, right?
I think they'll win 4 games this year. I think they're right at 4 because their non-conference schedule sucks.
I think if they win 4 and compete in 1 or 2 other ones, might.
I think they'll win. I mean, I hope they win 5.
Because what's the contract?
The buyout's like what, like $26 million this year?
Until 2028, or
it's lengthy. It'll go down. But I mean, you're seeing SEC programs that like they've got this like Vanderbilt bought out Jerry Stackhouse for a insane amount of money, and that's Vanderbilt. UK's got this. Like they can't afford to be. You can be whatever in the SEC. Like if you're Kentucky, you I don't think I'm telling. This isn't like rivalry talk. You can't expect to be Alabama or Auburn or whatever. Like you don't have those same types of expectations. But you have to at least be relevant in the SEC. You have to at least be like 3-5, 4-4 good, because it's too important for your overall athletic program to be 1-7 every single year to go back to where you were. And I think, I think they're going to win. You know, they'll beat the three non-conference nobodies they play besides us, and then I think they're going to win like one SEC game again. And if you go 1-7 in the SEC in back-to-back years, and there's nothing to really point to right now to say this is why it's going to be markedly better. This is why we're going to get back to winning 9 or 10 games. You've got to cut ties. Like I don't think you can afford to keep them around. Now if they go like 5-7, and like you say they beat a couple of teams in the SEC that they're not supposed to beat, or maybe they go 6-6, make a bowl game, then yeah, I think you can't afford to pay the buyout there, and you keep them around, and maybe you can get some positive momentum somewhere. But I don't think it's going to happen.
He's signed till 2031. And it's $50 million to get the whole staff bought out.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. I think they have to do it though. If they go 4-8 and 1-7 in the SEC,
because the jobs just don't embarrass us, Mike.
Exactly.
At 4 wins and you compete against 1 or 2 of those other schools. They won 4 games and they almost beat Tennessee or whatever it is.
I hope they do it. I hope they go 5-7 and they do just enough to keep them around. That's my goal for them this year. All right,
that helps us. Yeah,
we got to go to break, don't we?
Yes.
Okay. 4:00 hours coming up next. We didn't, text line's still bumping. We did put just a minor dent there. Reminder: Tom Jurich at 4:30. But more of your thoughts coming up after the break. It's the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical here on 1450 and 96.1 Big X Sports Radio.
This world that we're living in may seem chaotic at times. It's good to have
Radio, United Mechanical, your trusted partner for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration. Call United Mechanical at 502-339-1133 or visit them online at unitedmechanicalinc.com. Minor Tom Jurich coming up at 4:30 on the Collier Law Firm Hotline. We'll talk about his ceremony this Saturday at U of L to announce the naming of a new street, Tom Jurich Way, which is going to go down at U of L. 10 o'clock is the ceremony start. It's going to be down there at the Lenny Lyles Plaza at Card Park. The address there is 2135 South Floyd Street. Free parking all over the campus. If you want to make it down there, no excuse not to. Park wherever you want Saturday. Free parking on campus. Make your way over to where the ceremony is going to be. I believe they're going to have some very special guests that they have not, keeping a little quiet there. But it's going to be a celebratory day, and I'm very excited about it and very excited to talk with Tom about it coming up at 4:30. The Game Day Men's Health text line is 502-414-1450. You guys have loaded it up, and since we have a little bit less time in the final two segments because Tom's coming on, we want to make sure that you have your fair share of time today. So we'll get back to the text line here again at 502-414-1450. Texter said, going back to the AI conversation, I've heard that some colleges are bringing back blue books to fight AI cheating. I feel like this is going to be a thing.
Yep.
Did you ever have blue book tests when you were growing up? Okay.
Well, it was like the blue book tests were always like the open-ended questions at the end after your multiple choice.
Oh, yeah. I feel like you're going to have to do that. Or you're going to have like handwritten papers now. You know?
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. Did you have Scantron tests growing up?
Yep.
There was always a big rumor that you could cheat on Scantron tests if you like took chapstick and like rubbed it over the. I never had the stones to try it. But that was always a big rumor. Had you ever? Okay, let me ask you this, because Mary had never heard of this when it got brought up in a viral video. Did you ever hear of abacadabra growing up?
I think I've heard of that.
It was basically like if you didn't study at all the test, you would do abacadabra and just like A, B, B, A, C, A, D. Like you would just fill out the letters that said abacadabra. But Mary never heard of that. I just remember I never used it because it always seemed silly. Like, why not just guess random letters?
Better off just reading the question and trying to make a guess.
Just say C every time, whatever. But yeah, I feel like there will have to be some sort of reversion to old school education tactics to combat what's going on right now. Texas, I'm 21. I use Spark Notes on every single book that I read in school. This is the same look in them. They're like yellow with like kind of look like a road sign, and I use some of those because he had like Romeo and Juliet and a lot of the classics that you read growing up. So yeah, Spark Notes, man, just saving students for like 50 years now. Texas says the quickest way to get into incredible shape fast is to run hills. Slow builds to eventually running the last 3 to 4 at a full sprint. Sprints are significantly better than distance runs. Buddy, I'm not doing that. I drove over to Seneca Park after radio one day when John was playing soccer over there. And there was it was one of the local, I couldn't tell what high school track team it was, but they were running that steep hill over there, like across from the golf course.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, there's nothing in the world that I'd rather do less right now than, I talked yesterday about not wanting to get bitten by a shark. I may take a shark bite over having to run hills if it's not going to kill me.
We got to get you out there, Mike.
I'm not running hill. I'm not
triglycerides needed.
I will do what I got to do.
Did I say that right?
Yes. I'm not sprinting up hills. I can't do that.
Get in shape quick.
I die.
In this heat, you would, yeah.
Texture says, Mike. Nutrition is not complicated. You need 3 consistent meals a day with a healthy serving of fruits, vegetables, protein. Your old man metabolism is finally catching up to you, and you can't eat like you're still in college anymore. The husband of a nutritionist. Okay, but I want to. I don't eat terribly, though, is the thing. I don't eat great, but I don't eat terribly. I don't do the 3 meals. I do 2 meals a day. I eat usually like a very, very late breakfast around noon. I have 1 cup of coffee. I used to have like a lot of cups of coffee and had to stop that a few years ago. I cut coffee cold turkey for like 2 years because I had to. Now I'm back to having like 1 cup of coffee, regular cup of coffee. And then I do usually like cereal and a breakfast bar, like a protein bar.
Mm-hmm.
Or like today I did 1 egg, some like hash, and a protein bar. Like nothing
Some
terrible.
hash browns.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Nothing terrible. And then dinner, it varies. Now, I do typically do like a little dessert after dinner. That's what I'm going to have to cut out.
Yeah.
But like that alone, I feel like shouldn't be, it's not good.
You have to go get some Trader Joe's desserts.
I mean, we have Trader Joe's desserts. I rock Trader Joe's desserts. I rock the ice cream cookie.
You got to go get those little tiny mini ice cream cones. And that's all you get. You get one a night, Mike.
I feel like I could do that. That still would be basically where I am right now.
No, they're tiny.
I've seen
You
those.
need 3 of them.
It's the sugar. It's bad with the sugar, I guess. But it's the only thing.
Yeah, you wind down. You're finishing up writing or working. Your kids are asleep. You're putting on show or sports or
That's my hour and a half.
Yeah.
2 hours. It's all I look forward to every day. And now the age is taking that away from me too.
I think here's the thing though, Mike. Your kids are going to get to a point where they're in a schooling. Both are in school hours where it's every day it's a 6-hour or 7-hour day, and you'll be able to incorporate a little jog, go run one big hill every day.
I mean, the other thing though, I understand that that's not good. Like having a little bit of dessert after dinner almost every night. I do it. I shouldn't do it. I do. But I feel like that shouldn't be the difference between if my levels were slightly elevated, I'm like, okay, well that's a product of that. I go from perfect triglycerides my whole life, including just a year ago, to off the charts bad this go round.
You're not working out any less than you did a year ago.
Nothing's changed.
That is weird, but it's because you hit the big 4-0, Mike.
Again, I feel like I can understand oh, you've got to get this down a little bit. Like you're supposed to be in the 100 to 200 range, and you're in the 330 range, as opposed to 560, whatever the hell it is today.
Apple a day keeps the doctor away.
I mean, I used to eat apples all the time. I still eat fruit. Texas triglycerides are sensitive to sugar intake. Running, in my experience, has little impact. Well, that makes me feel a little bit better. Texas, it sounds like you need to add some basic exercise, strength training. If your body isn't moving consistently, it's not going to go well by the time you're in your mid-40s. Well, that's not far away now, so I don't like that text at all. I mean, that is part of the issue you face. I mean, this professional life is unfortunately very sedentary. A lot of sitting down, a lot of writing, a lot of staring at your computer, and then coming in here, and even though we're talking and exerting energy, we're sitting down the entire time. So yeah, there's that. But I mean, I get home. I guess I get close to 10,000 steps or above 10,000 steps just about every day. Walk the dog, get out there and run with the kids. It's not great exercise, but it's something. I just feel like it shouldn't be this bad, is my whole point. Bad is one thing. This bad, I feel like there's got to be a better explanation. Lions fan John said, hey, Mike, if you're looking to get in shape and you hate running, have you tried just hitting a heavy bag? That burns an insane amount of calories and is great for the heart, and it's fun.
Yeah, you get one of those it comes on a post, Mike.
I've hit those before. I've got friends that have. I feel like that would just frustrate me. I need to see something. It's just hitting it constantly and not getting a result. I need to be rewarded.
I think you need a gorilla goal in your driveway.
Oh, I'm so ready for. I need John to at least be moderately interested in sports just so I can play. I need the goal. I got to get back out there and get in some shots.
Just forcing yourself to do an hour of layup lines every day.
You're gonna see me out there. Me out there with cones, needlessly going through Shea Gilgeous-Alexander exercises that I looked up on YouTube. Getting the defender on my back, just side, then hitting the floater.
Yelling and one. He's like, what are you doing?
I'm going to do that. People do
practicing at game speed.
Don't worry. I'm playing games in my head like I used to as a kid growing up. And people always have those video series now where it's road to OTE, road to D1, where they're doing these drills to give. Mine's going to be road to lower triglycerides. Instead of just running, it's me doing these basketball exercises. It's what the hell's he doing? Shot form. Texas said he's everywhere. There's a email from the Athletic Pulse today, which the headline was, all hail Big Dumper. Dude, Cal Raleigh cannot go a day without hitting a home run. Have you seen this?
No.
What? The guy's outrageous. The Big Dumper. That's his nickname. That's where this came from. Cal Raleigh for the Mariners. His nickname, he goes by the Big Dumper.
I started reading the caption below it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's hitting a home run every single day. 4 straight games with a home run. He's got 32 now.
Let me get on the sports book and ruin this for him.
Why?
All I got to do is take his home run bet, and he won't hit one tonight.
I mean, he's outrageous right now. Speaking of outrageous, the Aaron Judge home run in the first yesterday. I was And look, Lodolo ended up pitching well. Unfortunately, not well enough for your bet to hit.
Yeah, 1 in 1 night.
But there's nobody on, 2 outs in the first inning, and you're up in the count like it was like a 1-2. Threw a fastball like literally right down the middle. The pitch chart, it could not be more down the middle, and Judge hit it about 1 billion feet in the left field seats. But that was the only run they gave up yesterday. We both were right. Reds prevail 6-1. Ellie shows up against big name opponents like always. Nearly has a hits for the cycle. All he needed was the double. Home run from the right-hand side. I also love that the Yankees, some of these Reds accounts, and I love when they do it, when there's a big play, they'll clip the home run or the big hit, and they'll give you the call of, like, the Reds TV, Reds radio, like Yankees TV, Yankees radio. And, like, the Yankees radio, they were taking shots at, like, how short the porch is in right field at Great American Ballpark. They're like, yeah, it's a short. Like, didn't it feel like you hit it? I'm like, you play at Yankee Stadium. It's like 305 down the right field line there. Shut up. I would love for us to win this series. It's Chase Burns night tonight, Roman.
I'm excited.
It's a big night. Big night. Texas, the NBA ratings for the finals were terrible. Averaged 9 million viewers. Final Four, the NCAA equivalent, averaged 16 million viewers. College basketball is about twice the viewership of the NBA. It's a bigger and better product. But I saw it with the Game 7 ratings were like 19 million.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Which is, again, not – it's like 10 million fewer than we're watching the NBA Finals 10 years ago, which is not great. But it still was the best in 6 years, which maybe is not great either. But, I do know that, the NCAA tournament typically does better ratings than the NBA Finals, but –
peaked at 19.3 million. But, yeah, the overall –
it's not bad.
The overall series didn't do as well as we thought it was going to.
Yeah, it's kind of predictable, though. Like we said.
The Western Conference Finals did better, though.
I go back to – I don't care about TV ratings. I get why TV ratings are important for executives, for people that are trying to make a profit. Like, if you're listening to sports radio, if you're listening to this right now, you probably just really like sports. Maybe you don't love the NBA Finals, but like I don't like I'm gonna watch it. It's rating for the Stanley Cup Finals. I'm watching the Stanley Cup Finals. Rating for the Masters maybe is a little bit down. I'm watching them. It has no effect on me whatsoever. I'm watching all this stuff. I'm talking about all this stuff. It's sports. The diehards are gonna watch. It's your job, yes, to draw on the casuals, but also maybe preach to the diehards a little bit too. Texas sideline cancer. Is this about Kenny Payne? It's a good tweet. Good text. Podcast Random Thoughts guy here. Scoot said that Ford Theater was in Evansville this morning on Just the Cats. The infamous Abraham Lincoln assassination venue in Indiana. Love you, Scoots. Pretty sure Trevor called a carry on me in a crucial moment at the end of a game that sent my life in a downward spiral. If the average human can safely view a crocodile from 9M and Trevor can run half as fast as the average human, how close can Trevor stand to the crocodile? New SAT question, see attached. Trevor had these outrageous things about how he could outrun a crocodile and how he could, all these animals that move.
What?
Yeah, it's Trevor. A lot of bad takes. A lot of belief in himself to do things that like Usain Bolt couldn't do. Did Scooch really think that Abraham Lincoln got assassinated in Indiana? I mean, at the peak of his presidency, Lincoln's leaving D.C. to just go watch a random play in Evansville where he got killed. Oh, I love it. Texas says, didn't I hear that Tay Kinney and Tyron Stokes are a package deal? I'm not. If there's talk about that, I don't buy any of the package deal talk. I've seen enough package deal talk in my years with recruiting to realize that it's only a package deal until one of the guys is like, especially nowadays. Because we're talking about, unless they're going to schools and saying, we want the exact same NIL, which good luck with that. You're probably going to have it. I mean, Tyron Stokes is worth more than Tay Kinney. Let's just say it. Tay Kinney could be a great player. Yeah. I get that he's got the social media following. Tyron Stokes is one of one.
Yep.
He's worth more than every other player in that class. And so if it's going to be a deal where it's like Tyron Stokes goes to a school and says, Tay Kinney's got to get as much as I'm getting, most schools are going to be like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. And at that point, Tay Kinney may be like, yeah, okay, well, I'm going to go somewhere else. So I don't maybe they both want to play at the same school, but package deals more times than not, I feel like they end up falling through. Also says, go get you some testosterone shots. I'm kidding. Never done that. Scoots is now texting me personally. I was waiting for this. It was a slip of the tongue. I meant Ford Center, and I caught it almost immediately. But yes, that happened. Okay, well, that makes me feel better. If it was him going on and on about how Lincoln got assassinated in Indiana, I would have had more concern there. Texas says, Mike, I'm convinced that Lenardi is trolling us. He's got us as a 7 seed now. I know it's June, but come on, man. Is this just, is he doing this just because the committee shocked us all and gave us an 8 seed last year? Is he trying to get in the head of the committee?
Yeah.
Is this Lenardi maybe giving us more props and taking a shot at the committee than I don't think Lenardi's smart enough to do that. I don't know. I refuse to get worked up about what Joe Lenardi is saying in June. He says an hour after going on a Joe Lenardi rant in June. Texas asked Tom if he realizes and understands that the fan base was anti-moving him out. We did not want that to happen, and I hope he and Coach Pitino don't hold that against the fan base. I don't think, Jurich and Pitino have both talked publicly a number of times over the years about what happened. Rick certainly more than Tom. Most of those conversations were in the relative immediate aftermath, like the first couple of years. I don't think there's ever been a time where either one of those guys hasn't said, like, still love the fans, right? It's been all about, Pitino had his vendetta, had his list of guys that he just despised that were here, and they're all gone now. I think Tom certainly had feelings of ill will towards a handful of people that made that decision. I don't think there's ever been a moment where either one has said, like, bleep the fans, I think they both recognize. I think Rick also recognized that he was, he said it a couple of times. Now he's walked that back since the IARP ruling. But he has sort of said, I understand why I had to go. I understand like this. I understand that. He's never been like, because there's never been any sort of unanimity amongst the fan base about like, yeah, we're glad Rick had to go. Certainly not with Tom. I feel like Tom was even more, there were even fewer people who were like, we got to get Tom Jurich out of here. So I think he knows that, but we can talk about that coming up here in about 10 minutes. Texter says, those budgets that came up did not include the ACC and the TV revenue, but sport. I imagine that would mostly impact basketball and football. I imagine, yeah, you're right. Texter says, we're going to get to the Castellano stuff coming here in a little bit. Have you seen the Tommy, I guess he goes by Tommy Castellanos now, the Florida State quarterback. He's trying to reinvent himself at Boston College. Have you seen these comments that are
No, I haven't.
We'll get there. We'll get there at 5 o'clock. Texas, I don't think you can call both Joe Lenardi and the selection committee bad at their jobs because the whole argument on Joe being bad is because his predictions are inaccurate to the committee's actual bracket. Ooh, that's a good point. With that being said, which of the two is more bad at their job? Well, but Lenardi's job is to predict what the committee is going to do. I also don't think the committee's job last year was, like, there weren't gigantic complaints outside of two things. One was North Carolina being in the tournament to begin with, which was ridiculous, but you can easily explainable because the UNCAD is the chairman of the committee. The only other thing that people looked at and they were like, this is dumb, and it wasn't just Louisville fans, was Louisville being an 8 seed. And that, I think, was the most frustrating part of Selection Sunday last year. Was it wasn't like you looked across the bracket and you're like, man, these guys were all over the place when it came to this and that and that. It was like, everybody's about where they expect to be besides us. And that, it's why it felt like kind of a personal deal. The committee's gotten better at their jobs in recent years because they've got more tools. Like, everybody can see the same data. It's like not that tough to do. There are a couple kind of coin flip decisions here and there, but besides that, like, the number one seeds are typically pretty obvious. The number one overall seed is typically pretty obvious. And we just were in a unique spot last year where we were the one outlier. I still think they messed up us in Memphis. I really do. I think that somebody just misread something. L&M are close enough on the alphabet then maybe somebody just plugged in the wrong name in the wrong place. Because if that had happened, if we'd been the 5 seed where Memphis was, and Memphis had been the 8 seed where we were, nobody would have batted an eye. Everyone would have been like, that's about. I mean, Memphis fans probably would have been pissed, but everyone else would have said like, this is about what we expected. Texter said, Red Rocks guy here. I just finished the pod from yesterday's show. That person who wanted my contact info, that's a hard no from me, dog. If I don't know you personally, I'm not getting you tickets. I already know that's what they're going to ask. Also, Bill in Denver rules. In addition, you aren't meeting the band. That's why I said Red Rocks guy's our guy. He gets us tickets. He does stuff for us. We don't share that contact. Bill in Denver does rule. He wrote you a very, very nice note, too. I know you didn't want to get into it, but he did.
He did.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I'm going to send him an email or send him another note back maybe. But yeah,
he's a very good guy.
Says some great stuff in this note.
Texas, I didn't get to listen to your return yesterday, but is there a bigger return to work present than Candelario getting DFA'd? If the Reds can get above 500 until the Marlins and Rocky series break before the All-Star break, I'm declaring that we're back. I was so ready to declare that we were back, and then we lost 3 in a row. The Candelario thing, I mean, yeah, like I said yesterday, we did react to this live on air. I'm happy that they did the right thing, but it's insanely frustrating that we put this amount of money into him and we're getting nothing back. I mean, look at this, Roman. The contracts in the last 3 years. Candelario is going to be, we're going to pay him $24 million to not play for us. Yeah. $24 million.
It's a lot.
Mike Moustakas, who has not played for us for 2 years now. We still owe him $22 million. Shogo Akiyama. We're the only franchise that can bring over a player from Japan and have him suck. Like, every time somebody brings in a player from Japan, he's great, or at least good. Shogo was terrible. We still owe him $8 million. Will Myers barely played for us, $3.75 million. Mike Ford played even less. We still owe him $1.1 million. That's about $60 million to pay players not to play for the Reds.
That's insane.
And I think Ken Griffey Jr. is still the highest paid player technically on the payroll, who we're still paying. Hasn't played in, 15 years at this point. That's how a poorly run franchise.
Very bad front office work there.
And we've drafted so well in recent years. Chase Burns, though. Texas, what's your Mount Rushmore of people named Tom? Tom from the Tom and Jerry cartoons count as people in this scenario. I hate Mount Rushmore radio, but who are your 4 most famous Toms? Or your 4 favorite Toms?
Favorite Toms?
Yeah.
I'll go Tom Brady.
Come on.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Cruise is from Louisville.
Tom Cruise is pretty cool, I guess.
Give me Tom Jurich.
And then
I'll go Tom Hanks, too. How about Tom Edison? Does that count?
They called him Thomas.
They did. So Thomas Paine is also out? I thought Thomas Paine was cool. I'm counting it. Tom Aquinas. Throw him in there. Tom Petty would definitely be on mine. Okay, Tom Petty, Tom Jurich, Tom Hanks. Oh, I'm going wild card for the last spot.
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland's a good one. My last spot, though, give me the mustache. Tom Selleck, Mr. Baseball. Fantastic movie. The 4th one's always got to be kind of like, does he really belong here? That's my Tom Selleck. Texas pod listener, are we just going to gloss over the fact that Roman said his goal was to shoot below 70 within a year at golf? No, you didn't say that. You said 100.
That's this summer.
Eventually you
next summer. Before next August, I'm shooting below a 70.
On 9?
On 18.
Roman, you're not shooting below a 70. I mean, you could go. You can go to like a par 3 course and play 18 holes. You're not shooting below 70.
You're gonna be surprised, Mike.
I'll be surprised if you shoot below 100 this year. Pleasantly surprised. I think that's an achievable goal. I don't think you're ever shooting below an 80. I mean, below it, 80, but definitely not below a 70. Text that according to OWGR, it's Russell Henley. I got into a big fight with a friend about Russell Henley before the U.S. Open. I'm of the belief that Russell Henley's overrated. He plays well in majors every now and then, but I don't think he's that good. He played well last week. Texted, did someone Photoshop a wig onto Stoops in that photo? Also, Stoops is definitely on Ozempic. Probably. I don't fault him for that. He looks better. He looks healthier. Why not? Texas says black COX for everyone. Come on. All right. Let's go to break on that note. When we come back, Tom Jurich will join us on the Call Your Law Firm hotline. Plenty to talk about with Tom Jurich. We'll talk about this weekend's event and much, much more. Very excited to talk to the man himself. It's been a long time, been too long. Tom Jurich on the Call Your Law Firm hotline after the break. Keep it locked right here. It's the Mike Rutherford Show presented by United Mechanical, 1450 The Big X. Welcome back in. It's the Tuesday edition of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. We've been talking about this all day. Very excited for it to happen now. Joining us here on the Call Your Law Firm hotline, arguably, the most influential, impactful figure in the history of Louisville sports. He's going to be honored this Saturday at 10 a.m. in a ceremony on Floyd Street. It is Tom Jurich, the former U of L athletic director. Very excited to talk to him. It's been a while. Tom, how are you? Thanks so much for joining us.
Sure, Mike. How are you doing? We're doing great.
We're doing very, very well. I feel like I get the question a lot still, like, how's Tom doing? What's he up to? We got people listening right now. You can tell them yourself. How are you doing? What have you been up to?
We've been doing a lot. We've had a great time, my wife and I. We've retired down in Bel Air, Florida, which is just west of Tampa on the coast there on the Gulf. And then we got a place out just north of Clemson on Lake Kiowee. So we kind of split our time there. And then we got Colorado that we get back to. So we kind of go between those three. We've had a wonderful, wonderful time. And just, there's lots to do. Got 8 grandkids now, and just a lot of fun.
I did get a text before you came on. I won't give away the person who sent it, but I told him that I would ask this question. He said, you make sure that you ask who his favorite kid is and why is it Brian, was the question that I was told to ask you.
Yeah, I'm sure he asked you that. I'm positive he did.
In all seriousness, you talk about being retired. Your name around here pops up every now and then. People are like, would Tom be interested in this job? Would Tom be interested in that job? Has there ever been a point in recent years where you thought about getting back into the AD game or the college athletics game?
No, there really hasn't. I haven't looked at it. I haven't looked back once. We just really enjoyed what we're doing. People have talked to us about things, but when it comes down to it, Carolyn, I just say, why would we want to give up what we're doing now? I was an AD for 34 years. Those challenges probably have passed me by now. I just like to watch and enjoy the sports and enjoy the people and reminisce about all the great memories that we had with our fan base and with our tremendous athletes and coaches. What a wonderful place to spend 20 years at is in Louisville, Kentucky. And, I thank the mayor so much for this wonderful, wonderful award and reaching out, and then the university itself. And I know John Ramsey and Kenny Klein have done so much to make this a reality. And it's just something that we're very, very appreciative, Mike. It was a wonderful 20-year run, and I hope it keeps going. And it seems like everything's on the right track. And I love the fact that they're doing so well in the ACC, and it's a perfect home for them. Let's keep it all going.
It's going to be a ceremony this Saturday at 10 a.m. down there at Lenny Lyles Plaza. Free parking around the campus if you want to make it down there. We're going to have Tom Jurich honored for his contributions to the university in the city of Louisville. You sort of touched on it there, but what does it mean to you that U of L, after all that's happened now, is stepping up and you're going to be honored properly for all that happened here during your watch for 20 years?
Well, it's very humbling because, first of all, it's never about one person. It's not about me. It's about we. And I know that's an easy cliche to throw around, but it's true. We had a wonderful team there at Louisville. We all stuck together. We all spent a lot of time together. We did a lot of things. We had a lot of ups and we had a lot of downs. And that's what college athletics is about. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was a special time, and I'm very, very thankful and appreciative that people think of us this way.
What was, I don't know the process about how this all came about, but when you were initially told that this was going to happen, what was your initial reaction?
Well, I was very appreciative, and when I got the call from Mayor Greenberg, it's stunning. It stuns you. It makes you, you kind of are lost for words. You appreciate it. You want, you always wanted to make a good impression. You always wanted to do a good job, but it just things probably ended the way that I wasn't too excited about. And I'm still to this day not really excited about it, but the way it ended. But those things happen, and there's people in place that did it aren't there anymore, and I realize that. So we just we'll keep moving forward. John L. always had a great line: just rip off the rearview mirror, and that's what we've always tried to do: is rip off the rearview mirror and look forward. And we really enjoyed ourselves the last 8 years.
I was going to say, it's been quite the journey to get here. You look back 7 or 8 years ago, and as you mentioned, those people aren't around here anymore, but there were people who were taking your name off of things, and now you're going to have an entire street dedicated to your name. But when you look back, I know you say rip the rearview mirror off. The way that it did end, is there still at least a little bit of animosity there? When you look back at 8 years and the way that it did end, is there at least still a little bit of animosity there?
Shoot. Mike, we're in a bad spot. We're over by the University of Kentucky. That tells you something.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you now.
Got you now. I was talking about, the 8 years. At first, there's people who are taking your name down off things. You mentioned ripping the rearview mirror off, but is there at least still a little bit of animosity about the way that it ended?
No, there's not. We don't like to live that way. We don't like to live that way. We're gonna be positive as we move forward, and we have, for our 8 years, we've tried to stay out of the light. I don't want to rain on anybody's parade. That's why we've kind of stayed low. And we've just enjoyed it. We've enjoyed our new chapter of our life in Florida and South Carolina, and we love Colorado. I think everybody knows that. So those are 3 pretty good spots for us.
When you look back at what you accomplished here, I mean, I hear it all the time. People are like, just how different Floyd Street looks and all the things that were built and all the achievements that happened that weren't around when you first got here. Do you what would you like your legacy at Louisville to be?
My legacy at Louisville is going to have to be defined by what the coaches and athletes, the fans think. I really don't. I've never given it any thought. Honestly, it's I just always wanted to be good to people. I wanted to make sure that all our coaches had everything they needed to win. I wanted to make sure all our athletes had everything they needed to win. I certainly, winning was important to me. I mean, that's why they built scoreboards. It's a very important thing to me. But I wanted to make sure that school was on a tremendous foundation when we left, and I believe it was. And, I know financially we have a great shape. The ACC couldn't do nothing, in my opinion, can be better than that. It's a fantastic thing. And the Adidas people, how they stepped up for us and gave us that fabulous contract right before I left. The coaches and those student athletes is great. And then to follow all these athletes down the pros, to do it. It's great. There's no bigger Ravens fan than me and my wife. We love watching Lamar play. Now that Jared's going to be with him, it's going to be great. Donovan Mitchell's made everybody proud. Will Smith, it's unbelievable. It goes on and on and on. But to see the success of these coaches and then what they mean to the place, and I just loved it. One of my favorite stories is what Danny did. I thought Danny, she was my last hire, and to see the success she had, I don't think anybody could have foreseen that. And earlier I was talking in another interview, and I said, we worked so hard to build her a new building and a new facility and renovate the Cardinal Arena and do all those kind of things, and she outgrew it in about 6 weeks. For what she accomplished, and she's going to do wonders in Nebraska, and it's a great fit for her and her husband Lane, and I couldn't be happier for her. But all the coaches are doing a great job.
I know you paid a lot of attention. Baseball meant a lot to you. You brought in Dan McDonald here, had an unprecedented run of success. I know your son Mark played here. Did you get a chance to watch the Cards at all in Omaha these past couple weeks?
Oh, yes, we did, and we enjoyed every second of it. And I get to talk to Coach Mack about once a week. We touch base, and he did a phenomenal job this year, a phenomenal job. And I think that's one of the best jobs anybody's ever done. And his late season run, that's what means the most, that late season. We all know that. Basketball, it's March. Here in baseball, it's May. And he did it, and he made our city so proud. And he's such a phenomenal human being and a great leader. And as your buddy Brian always said, Dad, when I travel with him and watch him, I always say he's better as a coach when they're losing because he knows how to motivate and bring people back and to keep them focused to do that. And I really think Brian's right.
You talked about the ACC being the perfect home for Louisville. Just this past year, Louisville celebrated 10 years in the conference. I think everybody listening remembers when Maryland makes that jump to the Big Ten. Everybody says it's UConn that's going to be in the ACC, and then it's going to be UConn or Louisville, and then it's Louisville, and everybody says Tom Jurich made this happen. It's been 10 years. Can you tell us exactly what happened to make that quick change to get Louisville in the driver's seat, to get that spot in the ACC?
Well, I give a lot of credit to Pat Forty. He's the one that told me. Terrell and I were down in Florida, And Pat called me, and he said, it was an early morning call. It could have been like a 7 o'clock, and he said, here's what I'm hearing, is that Maryland's going to make the move to the Big Ten. And so then I called every marker I had in, Mike, for 11 days straight. I never got off the phone. I had great sources, great people to help us. The Orange Bowl people helped us quite a bit. And the Orange Bowl was a key one because that was the tie to the ACC, was the Orange Bowl for the bowl game. And so that was a real key. But we had people from all over the country who went to bat for us. And it really helped. It helped so much. And that was the break that we needed, because not only from an athletic standpoint, but from an academic standpoint, it puts us on a tremendous trajectory. And I think, we just got to keep capitalizing on that, and it's going to take time, but we're going to do it. And, from a team standpoint, I think Jeff's got the program and sitting in beautiful shape. Coach Kelsey, what a remarkable job that was this year. Coach Mack, Jeff Walls, volleyball finished in second in the country. They got, the U of L's got a lot to be proud of it, and I really credit the fan base so much because it's lifted everybody up together and made everybody feel like they're a part of it, and they are. They've all invested in making this program, in my opinion, second to none. Sure, I'm biased. There's no question. But I always thought, and I put my money where my mouth was. I always said this is the best college sports town in America, and I really believe that.
I've got to ask, when you mentioned the success that football's had recently, and Pat Kelsey now getting basketball back, there were some not great years. I think we all remember what you and Rick Pitino were able to accomplish here. But, Louisville getting to a place where they're winning 4 games and 8 games in a season, how much it hurt the fan base. I don't know how much you were paying attention to that, but did you have a reaction to see Louisville basketball fall to a place where I don't think any of us thought was possible?
Well, I think, first of all, I think everybody felt the pain. Everybody felt it. And that's not, that's just, it happened. It happens, and sometimes those things happen. I'm just glad that the school remedied it and got it fixed. Basketball means so much to our city and our community and to this entire state. There's no question about it. And to see it getting back on top, and couldn't be happier than for this program. And I think what Jeff Brom's done is phenomenal too. I think he equally has done just a great job, and he's going to do magical things, I think, in the future too.
So much has changed over the last just handful of years with NIL and the transfer portal. I mean, do you ever think about how different your job would be if you were around nowadays? I mean, it's all changed.
Well, I fundraise for 24/7, so I guess I'd have to up that a little bit more. But that's it. I think that's what it's all going to come down to now. The dollar's going to speak louder than anything. And fortunately or unfortunately, whatever glass you choose to look at, that's the reality we're in right now. And it's I think amateur sports are a thing of the past. The thing I just want to make sure is the Olympic sports are protected. That's what I want to make sure of, because any little bit I could do to help, because they're a treasure to all of us. And that's you go to any of those activities on campus, and you can just see the pride that not only the athletes have, but the fans have. And you got world-class coaches at every spot at U of L.
It always seemed like you took such significant pride in not just being football and men's basketball. I mean, men's soccer played for a national title when you were here. You talked about what Danny did. You've talked about what Dan McDonald did. I mean, is there a concern for you watching the landscape of college sports that is going to be something that falls by the wayside as we move on?
Well, I sure hope not. But I'm not unrealistic either. I mean, I think the way that they're going now, I think there's got to be some more leadership, and leadership is the key. Personally, I don't think I see a whole lot of it there. Not in the NCAA to bring them out of this situation. I don't think anybody. You can't just keep passing the buck to other people and say you're going to get it done. You're going to get it done. Somebody's got to be a visionary, come up with some great ideas, stand pat by it, and stay with it. Because if you run the course the right way, I think everything could fall in place and work for itself. We knew 20, 25 years ago athletes were going to be paid. When the Ed O'Bannon thing started, we knew that was going to be runaway train. But my idea, why didn't anybody address it then? Mm-hmm. Why didn't the NCAA address it then? It was all brought up to them. And I think that to me could have really put a kibosh on a lot of this, or at least slowed it way down, put it that way.
And speaking of the lack of leadership in the NCAA, I think there's still a lot of hard feelings around here. We still hear about it. I know Coach Pitino's talked about it a little bit. the need, the desire to see that 2013 banner go back up. I think it's a matter of when, not if. But I know that that's something that you, I'm sure at some point, would like to see happen as well.
Oh, it's ridiculous that it's not up. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen and heard of. And we knew it, and we went through that case, and I think you just got to go fight for it. You got to go fight for it. You tell me all the things that are going on in the NCAA right now, and you got a banner down? Come on.
When you say they, I mean, you mean U of L should go fight for it, get it back up?
Yeah, I think U of L should, absolutely, and I hope they do.
Last question. I know you've got your time is limited here.
Yeah, it's really limited. I'm on I-75 going into Lexington. Been driving all day through the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Lots of people reached out on our text line here, and they said, make sure you communicate to Tom that the fans didn't want him gone. The fans have been wanting him to be properly honored for a long time. I said I've never heard Tom, place any of the blame on the fans. Same with Rick. What's your message to the fan base here that still is very appreciative of everything that you did for U of L?
Well, the fans, first of all, are second to none. They're second to none, and I told you I did an interview earlier this afternoon, and the one story that I really remember the most is we had that great win. We're 16.5-point underdog, I believe, against Florida in the Sugar Bowl, and we go there, and our fans turned out like I've never seen. And we took over that Superdome, took over the city of New Orleans, and I'll never forget the president of the Sugar Bowl came around, came over to the suite, and he said, pulled me outside of it, and said, he goes, I just want to look at you now, I want to tell you one thing. If we didn't have red, we would be dead. and he really meant it. He says, you look at, Florida had 15 people at the game. We had the thing packed, and it was a tremendous game, and you could tell how our players felt about it. I've talked to Teddy about it several times. You remember Teddy? Any other quarterback in the history of the game would have been knocked out that second or third play with him. And he got back up and had one of the games of his life. And he said the fans are the one motivated him and put him on their shoulders. And I think you could go down the list of all those kids that played in that game. And that game was a rout. That game, we live in Florida, so we get to talk to a lot of people about it. That game wasn't even nearly as close as what the score was.
I think, everybody remembers that. Everyone thinks about the national title, obviously. Everybody thinks about maybe the Lamar Heisman. Is there a memory from your time at Louisville that's a little bit under the radar that's especially special to you that maybe would surprise people that you hold that dear?
Well, I think, Ken Rolla going to the championship game in men's soccer, to me, was really something special. He was a special coach, that guy. He not just at UOL, but anywhere in the country. He's as premier as you could ever get. To see what he accomplished, I thought that was an incredible milestone. I served on the baseball committee before, and I know how tough it is for northern teams to advance. And if you look, there's other than Louisville, there's not many northern teams you can really point to that are coming to climbing that ladder. And so that's why I give Dan so much credit there. But I think Danny's run was phenomenal. I think Danny, what she did was just absolutely phenomenal, and she really has put that sport on the map too. So I don't know if there's any one that really singles out. I think Jeff Walls getting to the championship game twice. I think those were great moments. I think when they beat, Brittany Griner, that was the same day that when Kevin Ware went down and we beat Duke to go to the Final Four. That happened the same exact day. And I think those were monumental times for this university. It really was.
I know, last question, I promise. I know you went up, you saw Coach Patino having success at St. John's. He certainly had his time away from the game and now is back and having success. I know you're happy to see that as well.
Oh, it's incredible. And, Carolyn and I, he brought us up for his last game when they won the championship. And it was we spent the weekend with him. And just to see him, he's truly in a comfort zone. He's back home. He is definitely Elvis in New York City, and it's incredible. So we walked to the game. It was a noon game, and I remember the place is sold out, and there's a line all the way around Madison Square Garden. And so I'm asking the guy, just because they hadn't opened the gates, and I'm just asking the guy, I said, when do these people buy their tickets? He goes, I don't know why they're waiting in line. And he didn't say it that way. You can imagine how he said it. He goes, I don't know why they're waiting in line because there ain't no tickets. There is no tickets. And these people, they're starved for it. And what he's done, and when he puts his real stamp on that program, watch out, because it's something to see. It is something to see. And I never thought, I always thought we had great times at Louisville, and we saw big giant wins at Louisville, and I saw our place erupt. But he's got it. He's in the right place for him. He really is.
Well, Tom, we're looking forward to this weekend. I think it's long overdue to have a celebration of all that you accomplished here. I think the fans are going to show up. The fans are very excited that you're going to be back in town. And once again, very, very happy that you're here, and best of luck this weekend with all the festivities that are going to be going on.
Yeah, thank you, Mike, and thanks for the great job. You've done a great job for a lot of years at that school, and I hope you continue it for many, many in the future, and maybe bring us another year of the Cardinal. How about that?
Hey. Don't put it all on my shoulders. I'll do what I can, like I've always done.
You can do it. If anybody can do it, it's you.
Tom, I appreciate it again. We're excited to see you this weekend.
Okay, thank you all very, very much.
All right, that's Tom Jurich there on the Collier Law Firm hotline talking a little bit about the ceremony that's coming up this weekend where a street will be named in his honor on Floyd Street down there. Make it down. Again, 10 a.m. Saturday. If you can, if you're worried about parking, free public parking on U of L's campus all weekend long. Make it down there. Celebrate Tom Jurich and Tom Jurich Way, which is going to be unveiled. Very cool to hear from him, a guy who clearly accomplished so much here. And despite the way that it ended and despite some moments in the immediate aftermath where people, I think, tried to kind of cover up exactly what went on there, it's nice to see calmer heads prevail and the healing process start here. And 8 years down the line, we're finally moving on, and we're excited to give Tom Jurich the flowers that he so much deserves for all that he accomplished here over the past 20 years. Big shout out also to the Collier Law Firm, sponsoring the hotline there. Tony Collier and the crew. They got you covered if you've been injured in an accident or on the job. Give them a call any hour, any day. 502-736-8141 is the number. They will get you paid, and they'll make sure that you keep the money that you get for your recovery, which is why their attorney fees start at just 25%. Other big firms they're going to make you pay 45, 50% of your recovery and give it back and put it back in the big wigs' pockets. That's not what the Collier Law Firm's about. They got your back, not your pockets. Visit them online at collierlawfirm.com, COLYER lawfirm.com, or again, call them at 502-736-8141. Heard in an accident, heard on the job, call your law firm. Very cool to have Tom Jurich on there. Roman.
Great interview, Mike.
Well, thank
Thought you did a great job there. Loved hearing those answers from Tom.
I mean, it's very.
Not sure about to give him the not Jesus Christ there thing.
Well, I should have harnessed my inner Vince Marrow.
For a half second, I thought you were about to.
I'm not Jesus Christ, but maybe I can give you another year of the Cardinal. Maybe that can happen. I mean, how about Tom? The best part, I mean, I loved him reflecting. I love, too, that he's also, I mean, he clearly says, unhappy about the way that things ended. How could you not be? I think he felt like he was unjustly ousted. I think a lot of people felt like he was unjustly ousted, but still talks about, I mean, he's using we to talk about U of L there and all the accomplishments and being so excited to watch the team play in Omaha. Said very, very good things about Jeff Brom and the football program and the level footing that they're on right now. But to me, the standout part there is when the 2013 banner comes up.
Yep.
And I don't even finish the question. And he's just like, it's the most ridiculous thing in the entire world. You've got to get that banner back up. Look at all the, I mean, clearly no fan of the NCAA, which is a man speaking directly to our collective fan base's heart. He's like, look at all the things going on in college athletics. And they're not going to let you have a banner up for the things that went on here? Like, ridiculous. We got to go out there and fight for it. I think it's something that the fan base is in wholehearted agreement with right there. Anything surprise you there that came up during that?
That part, how blunt he made his opinion felt there was interesting. I thought that was cool. I like to hear that. Really cool to hear him just talk about Lamar and Jair and reference them. I think I thought that was cool just to show that he still has like that love for the old Louisville players and from when the players that were here from when his time is here. I thought making a comment about Ken Lola was cool as well, Mike. I thought that was interesting because I feel like that time frame starts to get not talked about as much about how the smaller programs were also kind of coming into their own then as well too due to his hiring and stuff.
I thought also the shout out to Pat Forty when it came to getting into the ACC. He's like, Pat tipped me up. Pat was like, hey, I'm hearing Maryland's going to the Big Ten. Maybe start calling in some favors. And he's like, I pulled at every card that I could to make that happen. And look, there's not a person involved in that whole deal who didn't say Tom Jurich is the guy that got Louisville into the ACC. And imagine where we would be right now if that had not happened. All right, we got to go to break. 5 o'clock hour is up next. We'll get back to you guys on the Game Day Men's Health text line. 502-414-1450 is the number there. Your reaction coming up after the break. It's the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, here on the Big X. I thought that was very, very cool. I mean, there was one like brief kind of mention about like, not liking the way that it ended, which I think is completely understandable. But for the most part, there was a lot of we talk, a lot of still kind of considering himself a U of L guy, which I think is good. I mean, you got like I said, I was not just lip service when I brought him on. He is, I mean, arguably
the most important person to why we're where we're at now.
I mean, you can say the most important figure in the history of U of L sports. I know basketball was very solid when he got here. You talk about Denny Crum, you can talk about John Dromo, talk about all these people. But when it comes to the entirety of the athletic program, I mean, we were talking about dropping football in the 1980s. We were when he got the job, Jurich, we were being talked about getting kicked out of Conference USA. We had no NCAA tournament appearances in baseball. We were a blip on the radar in volleyball. Basically every sport, soccer, men's and women's. We had never been to a Sweet 16 in women's basketball. And you look at what we accomplished in this century so far. Multiple national title games in volleyball, multiple national title games in women's basketball, multiple top 4 finishes in baseball. The football program finding consistency and getting to that next level and being, having a Heisman Trophy winner, for God's sake. It's like that's all under his watch. These are coaches that he hired. This is the foundation that he built for this program, and so I don't think it's a stretch to call him, the most impactful figure in the history of Cardinal athletics. And it felt so weird to just for a couple of years there have the people that were in charge just not talk about him at all, just not want him to be referenced whatsoever. And I'm glad that we're finally getting past that and getting to a point where all that he accomplished over 20 years can finally be celebrated properly. Texas said, I love how Tom is just as big a fan of Lamar, Jair, et cetera, as the rest of us. He's a real one. I do. I mean, he's like, I'm the biggest. He's like me and Tara Lynn. We're watching the Ravens game every weekend. Now having Jair on that team, it just makes us more bigger fans. Like he's always kind of one of the coolest things about getting to know Tom when I started, getting deeper into my career was there were a couple times where I was able to watch games with him. And he watched it just like a normal fan. Like he had the same kind of like irrational complaints in the middle of games when things were going poorly as I would. He'd be like, what the hell is this guy? He's like, people keep talking about him as an NBA guy. I'm not saying like he would go through the same stages of being a fan as all of us. And you always kind of want to believe that that's the case with people that are in that high profile spot. But to actually go and be able to experience it was really cool because it's easy once you become a millionaire and you're the guy to kind of be like, well, I'm above that. I'm watching the games. I'm doing it stoically and just kind of going about and win or lose. And he was never like that. He was always just a fan, which was very, very cool. Texas, Tom said in the basketball question that everybody felt the pain. I don't think that was intended. I'd like it if it was. P-A-Y-N-E. Texas, we still owe Tom a statue. Well, one thing at a time. We'll work our way back up there. Texas, great interview, Mike. Appreciate that. Texas says, gosh damn, I'm ready to run through a wall for Tom. Build the statue. Texas, that interview rocked. Thank you for asking both the softball and hard questions. You continue to be the best voice for the fan base, Mike. You're as good as it gets for the Cards. I don't agree, but I appreciate that. Texas,
why don't you agree?
Well, I appreciate it.
Come on, Mike.
Texas, Mike, well done with the interview. Thank you. Texas, he said we went through the same pain. Maybe it was intentional. More people are picking up on the pain pun. Maybe that was by design. Maybe it wasn't. Texas says, is there a higher than 0% chance we get one of Jordan Wara or Carlik Jones on the TBT team? I've got no insight on this. I mean, we have like 10 guys right now, right?
Yeah.
The roster's got to be at least close to being set.
If they can play, though, you got to bring them both in, right?
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Carlik Jones should be in the NBA.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's tearing it up right now.
Starting point guard for this country.
Yeah, he went right at Team USA last summer and damn near came away with a win. And from what I understand, he's tearing it up right now in the league that he ended up signing with. And Jordan Wara took, he had an NBA offer on the table to come back and took more money to go play overseas.
Indiana wanted to extend him, and another team wanted him. So
he was like, yeah, I'll take more money to play in Europe, and he's over there doing. Yeah, if you can get those guys, you immediately elevate your chances of winning this for sure. Texas says
they just had 17 points, 9 assists, 4 rebounds on June 12th. for partisan.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Belongs in the NBA.
Texas Roman, when are you going to go 1v1 against Reese? Is that still happening?
Well, I didn't know that he didn't live directly in the city, and he's seeming to have a busy summer, so I'm going to figure it out.
Really?
I'm going to try. Yeah.
What happened to the SVT?
I don't know what happened with that. I think they couldn't get a confirmation about it. Couldn't get it figured out, I think.
I'm sorry. Texas Jurich is arguably the most impactful figure in the history of the university, not just athletics. I mean, you can argue that for sure. Tom's the best, literally one of the best ADs ever. Damn, I miss that guy. I do too, but I'm glad that we're at a point where I think we feel good about things across the board in U of L athletics. This is what to me makes this all very easy to do. Is it would be like we would probably be giving even more respect to Tom if athletics were a dumpster fire. But it's easier to kind of say, what a run we had under Tom Jurich. Let's pay it its proper respect. But also, I feel really good about the job that Josh Hurd's doing right now. I mean, Jurich said it himself in the interview. You look at what Pat Kelsey's doing, you look at what football's doing, it feels like we finally restabilized. And I certainly don't want to lose focus of that. I don't think anybody is losing focus of that. Josh Hurd's done a great job, and he also was a part of making this happen for Tom. And I think it's cool that Josh is doing this because there were university figures before him that didn't want to do this, didn't want to have this sort of thing, kind of wanted to have nothing to do with the Jurich era. And maybe it's been time, or maybe it's just whatever it's been.
Yeah,
it's cool to see everybody kind of coming together. Texas says, so one of Tom's sons is with the baseball program. I think I knew that. Didn't he have another child that worked at Louisville? No, his son played. Mark, who worked at U of L as well, also played. He was the first All-American of this century. That was a trivia question that Roman did not get correct. Mark was on the team, the first team to make the NCAA tournament, was a very, very good baseball player here, and then worked at U of L when Tom was the AD. Texas, hey, Mike, is there an alumni code for the TBT tickets? Not that I know. Do you know?
That would be cool, though.
It would be cool. I don't know if that's true. Texas, what Bubba Cunningham wouldn't say as to why we were the best 8 seed, Kansas was the weakest 7. 1, uncertainty about Rain Smith's availability due to ankle injury. 2, beating Clemson at home was not enough to be seated higher. Well, we also beat them on a neutral floor. So, 3, wanted to keep Louisville and Lexington for ratings. I think they absolutely wanted to keep Louisville and Lexington. That's the one thing that I kind of look at and I'm like, well, that makes a little bit of sense, I guess. Lazard guy said, I'm a football guy, and my folks took me to games at Old Cardinal Stadium. Jurich is definitely the U of L GOAT. We'd be FCS or dying in the group of 5 if it weren't for that guy.
I don't think that's true.
I don't know where these are impossible questions to answer. What's, I think, inarguable is that he elevated the football program. When he got here, we were in a very low place when it came to football. And we had a very, I think, uncertain future. We brought in, like I said, in the 80s, we're thinking about dropping football altogether. We're basically an FCS program at that point. And then we hire Howard Stellenberger, which is this huge coup that we only are able to do because the UFL fails and the franchise that he left Miami to start ends up not. So he's available and he needs a job and he sees us and he's like, well, they have unlimited potential. They're really good at basketball. Why can't they be really good at football? And we have some really good years here. And then we make the decision to join Conference USA. Howard bolts because he feels like you can't win a national title from Conference USA, which he's totally correct about. And football kind of flatlines. Bad hire in Ron Cooper. We win 1 game his last year. Jurich comes. He hires John L. Smith, who reignites the football program with an exciting brand of offense, scoring a ton of points. And then Jurich, I think, in hindsight, makes the brilliant decision to collab with ESPN and say, look, we want to play on national TV whenever we can. We'll play on Tuesday night. Whenever you can give us a platform, we're going to give you an exciting brand of football. And it was the first time where that really happened, where ESPN looked around and said, if you can put a team out there that's scoring 50 points a game, they don't have to be a great team. They don't have to be a big-time brand. But people are going to watch college football on Wednesday night or Thursday night, especially if there's a team out there that's scoring 50 points. And so, they'd be like, hey, would you be willing to play East Carolina on Tuesday night if we can put it on ESPN or ESPN2. And Tom was like, hell yeah, let's do it. And that really elevated the brand of the football program. And it was a huge reason, maybe the biggest reason, why we were able to get to the Big East, was the football program was so good at that point under Bobby Petrino, and then we were able to keep that success. Little blip with Steve Kragthorpe, but then he goes out there and hires Charlie Strong. And football has been much better than we've been more consistently good over the past 25 years than any other 25-year period in the history of the athletic program. Texas says, I noticed the rumors that there was some heat between Jeff and Tom about the Kragthorpe era. Tom went out of his way to point out how well the football is going. He did, and he mentioned Jeff by name. Yeah, I mean, I think that there was definitely some animosity between, I mean, on the Brahms end, as you would expect. Basically, when things went south under Steve Kragthorpe, Tom Jurich made the decision, like, I'm going to stand by my guy. I'm standing by Steve Kragthorpe, and Kragthorpe kind of threw, as head coaches who are trying to save themselves tend to do, kind of threw everybody else under the bus. You know, we're going to fire the coordinators. We're going to fire, Jeff is the problem. He's out with the offense. And I think the Brahms rightly looked around and they were like, we weren't the issues here. And I think that created a little bit of a rift between them. I think that people say that, Jeff would have never come to Louisville if Tom had been the AD. I still think that there would have been a very, very easy way for both sides to say, let's let bygones be bygones. Let's do what's best for this athletic program. I think that they could have gotten around that. And you see, I mean, Tom clearly has no ill will towards Jeff or anything like that and is very appreciative of what he's doing right now for Cardinal football. Texas says, Billy Strings in Louisville is the same day as the basketball game in Indy. Rough timing. Roman, are you a Billy Strings guy?
No.
I don't know anything about Billy Strings.
I think he's a local country guy, isn't he?
I don't know. Texas said, if Rick Pitino and Tom Jurich were never fired in 2017, do you think we would have won another title under Rick? Impossible to say, so I'll just say yes. Sure, we would have won 3 more. We definitely were well positioned for the future at that point, which will always be a great what if. Texas says, Tom certainly had nothing but praise for Jeff now in the future. Yes, that was very good to hear.
Born in Lansing, Michigan, but his family later moved to Moorhead, Kentucky.
Okay. Texas says, this is Roman hater. Roman earlier, I got the itch. I want to golf more. Roman now, I don't like how par changes from hole to hole.
It's one of those things like when you understand something but you don't really, really understand it. Like I get what you're saying. I know that it's changing, but I don't really get why. Is it because the
length of the holes?
That changes like the phrasing for what happens at the end? It just feels like
a par 3 is short. You should make it into the hole in 3 shots. A par 5 is long. You should make it into the hole in 5 shots. So a birdie is always 1 shot under par. So on a par 5, it's a 4. On a par 4, it's a 3. On a par 3, it's a 2.
I see.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's just interesting. I feel like you lose some significance of a phrase. All you've got is hole in one, and then eagle changes. The significance of an eagle changes based on the hole. I mean, it's still a good thing to do regardless, even if it's more expected or less expected,
I don't understand your confusion on this.
Me neither, I guess.
I mean, I like it. I'm willing to go further down this rabbit hole because I'm intrigued. But no, an eagle is always going to be 2 shots below par. If you make a double eagle on a par 5, it's called an albatross.
Yeah, but a hole in one's a hole in one no matter what.
Hole in one's a hole in one no matter what. Hole in one on a par 5 would be crazy. I don't even know if they have a name for that.
Because no one's done that.
Not in an official tournament. At least not that I know of. Maybe it is. I'm not going to Google it. I also said using an MLA generator isn't cheating.
There we go.
There you go. There's some backing. Texas Mike, I regret to inform you that handwritten papers aren't going to combat AI. At least make it harder for the kids, right?
If you make them write the paper in class, it will.
Yeah, but there you go.
It definitely will.
I mean, I guess you could just handwrite what you
No multiple choice, all handwritten test in class during class time. Same with papers. No take-home papers.
I still would want to put people through that, where it's like, I've got to handwrite what's on my screen. It's a lot easier than just copying and pasting it onto a Word document. I'm going to make you work for it. I'm going to make you work to cheat. Texas, the best way to lose weight is through fasting. I did fasting stuff when I first got sick. It was fine. Texas, Mike, the carnivore diet changed my life. Also tried that. Texas, it's so hot, Jehovah's Witnesses started telemarketing. That's a good text. I like that line. Texas says, chocolate peanut butter banana smoothie. Come on. Frozen fresh bananas. I went through a big smoothie phase where I brought a smoothie to radio every single day.
That looks like a good smoothie right there.
I always just did like.
I thought almond milk wasn't actually good for you, though.
Here's the thing, Roman.
Or is that oat milk?
You can find someone somewhere who says everything isn't actually good for you. Like there's going to be a war on water pretty soon. Like water's not actually good for you. You don't need to drink it. You can't. There's nothing that's universally agreed upon as being good for you. But I would just do like fruit and spinach and like milk and drink and like every single day. Like John Ramsey would make like a comment about how gross it looked, and we'd have like bosses coming. They're like, "What is that?" I'm like, "It's good for me." Didn't seem to change much. Texas has put Kenny Payne's face on the bag when you're doing the heavy bag. That would help the workout. Texas said, "Have your triglyceride done again, lipid profile." I mean, I need to do it again at some point. I want to see if this was just like a weird freak thing. Like I had a weird freak thing. So 3 days ago, I woke up. I wear the Fitbit to sleep. It monitors my sleep, monitors all this stuff. And I had a weird thing where like my like 7:30 a.m. my heart rate had been totally normal through sleeping, like between like 55 and 60, and then it jumped like 153, and then at like 7:37 it peaked at like 196, and then went right back down. And I was like, either this is a glitch or I've got like AFib and I'm about to die. So I'm choosing to think it's glitch because it hasn't happened like the last couple nights, but still a little bit unsettling, Roman, to see that. Texas, Trevor's belief in himself as a pole vaulter is one of the all-time funniest bits in the show. The thing was, he wasn't joking either. Trevor thought he could pole vault.
After meeting Trevor, I am very confused by how he concluded that.
But also, like, aren't you not confused? Like, we both know he can't do it. But after meeting Trevor and hearing him talk about things, it shouldn't shock you that he actually said that.
No, not at all.
He thought he could pole vault. Texture said, you are correct. Y'all are good with me. Our Red Rocks guy said, we're good to go with Red Rocks guy. Nobody else can get in, though. It's just us. Texture says Tom and Jerry and the all-time Toms. Also says, can you ask Tom if he still has a home in Colorado Springs? He does. I had 2 people give me a go cards after seeing my hat while I was out running errands this weekend. I've been here 11 years, and that was a first. Also, it's not the name of the text line. I can't say it. It's Game Day Men's Health text line. I don't care what it is to you. It's Game Day Men's Health text line. Here's Mike with a hole-in-one on PGA 25, the video game count. No. Now, the bigger question is, if you hit a hole-in-one on a simulator, does it count?
No.
I don't think so either. People are like, I counted. I hit a hole-in-one on a simulator. That doesn't count. I want
the ball hit a screen.
Exactly. I don't trust simulators. Anytime I had a bad shot on a simulator, I'm like, no, that was good. Don't worry about it. That was actually good. I want the experience of running down that par 3. Or in my case, like huffing down that par 3 right now. High triglycerides kicking in. And picking the ball up out of the hole. I need that feeling. That's what I want. Texas Tommy Chong. To some people. Also says, Stoops, according to his contract, he would be owed a buyout of $37.5 million if Kentucky dismissed him after the 2025 season. I still think it's happening. Texter says, Mike, during the last episode of Wake Up 502, Haven Harrington, citing family sources, stated that Tyron Stokes is going to be a card. Is this true, Roman?
But my car broke down Friday night, Mike. I didn't make it in Saturday morning to Wake Up 502.
I tell you what, this is Haven's ass if it doesn't actually end up happening. But if Tyron Stokes goes anywhere else,
I've heard this as well. From a different, not Haven. I heard from a different source who's connected to the family that the family is heavily pushing and waiting for him to come to Louisville.
I mean, based on his quotes, it sounds like he wants to. I don't want to get ahead of myself. A lot can happen. He's got a whole other year. But Haven, it's on you if it doesn't happen. Texas, if Mike doesn't say Tom Crean is a lying SOB. Tom Crean is not on my Mount Rushmore of Toms. My unintentionally hilarious Mount Rushmore of Tom, sure, but not on my Mount Rushmore. Texas, our moms Mount Rushmore is Selleck times 4. Ladies love Tom Selleck, Roman. It's the mustache. Do you know who Tom Selleck is?
No.
I mean, I could tell by your silence you were like, please just don't ask me.
Don't ask me anything about him. Please.
Don't ask me. He was on Friends. He was Monica's boyfriend. He was in Mr. Baseball, for God's sake.
So he was random. He was one of the random boyfriends.
Yeah, well, he was like the big one before Chandler.
Okay.
The one that, like, at one point tried to get her back. When like
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. It's a hard thought. But he was, like, very old. He, like, at one point, he was, like, friends with Monica and Ross's parents. But he's a DILF, as the kids say. Text us Tom Homan, Tom Selleck, Tom Brady, and Tom Jurich. That's Chris the Plumber's Tom thing. Also says Donald Trump's been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. I don't think that's true, Chris. I don't think that's happening. Texas Billy Springs is a little bit bigger than a local guy. He's playing at the Yum Center. He's playing at the Yum Center? This is a total blank spot for me.
Jeez.
Also says, when will the big dog get a road named after him? I tell you what. If we win a national title in football with the big dog here, we can have Bromway. We can have, I'll even let Brian, my arch rival, have a street named, and we can definitely have Big Dog Road. Absolutely. Somewhere. I'll try to get my street renamed Big Dog Road. Texas Mike, you need to enroll in the Rick Pitino School of Conditioning. Did you see what he did to Kenny Johnson? I don't think Kenny Johnson changed that much. Scotty D changed a lot. Lazard guy said, I'm about to hit these hills, Mike. Let's dominate these triglycerides. I'm not doing it. I'm not running hills.
You can stick around for the Romans recap.
I'm not running
the range
hills
with me after this, Mike.
No. Texas, the uncanny similarities between Trevor and Roman both talking about athletic feats that neither could ever accomplish in their life.
Hey, I'm going to break 100 this summer for sure. I could definitely pitch 80 miles an hour. I've thrown a football 60 yards. Just because it wasn't a regulation football doesn't mean I can't throw a regulation football 60 yards. I can still do that.
I don't know if I believe any of this. Don't know if I believe any of this. Texas, they're now
in my life is crazy. I could definitely accomplish those in my life.
Texas says there are just 4 spots available for our non-conference schedule. Chris Palmer sent me a link. A Republican representative nominated him. He's not been nominated by the Nobel Peace Prize Committee. Chris, I will absolutely if Donald Trump wins a Nobel Peace Prize for the ceasefire that both sides apparently broke this morning, and he dropped the F-bomb for, I will 100% apologize. And you can come on the show, and I'll give you 5 minutes to talk about Trump and why he's the best president we've ever had. Texas, what about Tom Drexler? Tom Drexler's not on my Mount Rushmore. Texas Patino once had Vinny on the lemon and cayenne pepper diet. I think he also sent him to a weight loss camp. I remember Vinny saying, like Patino gave up on Vinny pretty quickly. I remember him saying, like, he tried, and it just wasn't going to happen. All right, we got to get out of here. Roman's recap's up next. Roman, though, real quick. Reds Yankees, game 2 tonight. Chase Burns, major league debut. Do the Reds get it done tonight and take 2 out of 2 from the Yanks?
No.
I don't think they do either.
But he goes for 5 Ks tonight, Mike.
I need Chase Burns to be good. We all need Chase Burns to be good.
Murphy.
Carlos Rodon going for the Yankees tonight. Let's get it done, but I do think the Yanks win. All right, recap with Roman is up next. Keep it locked right here for another 30 minutes. I'm back tomorrow at 2:30. Go Cards.
Go Cards.
The Mike Rutherford Show was brought to you by United Mechanical. John Burke's United Mechanical is your trusted partner for commercial and industrial